where you tell me the real secret is teamwork?
Nope. The real secret? Aim for the head.
All right, and we're back. Welcome. Hope you guys are doing good today. It is the middle of the week, and your boy Arky is back, and we got something special going on today. So, what is this? This is the State of Decay 2 Awards post-commentary by Arky. And what this is basically what we're going to do today is there is a 2+ hour podcast with your boy Arky, the Blaise Xperience, K Sizzle 3G, and Undead Labs. Finally, I was able to sit down and speak with Undead Labs. It was a thing I always wanted to accomplish or obtain, and I finally obtained it. I was able to speak with the brains behind one of the most influential games in my life. So that was quite the experience, and I can't wait to share that experience with you today as we do this watch-along. So the main premise of how it's going to work today is the more you guys talk in chat, the more I will talk over the podcast and pause the podcast and talk. So if you guys want me to talk through the podcast, please chat it up. But if you want me to be quiet throughout the podcast and not talk, well then don't at me and don't, if you want to sit and just listen to the podcast, I understand that. Please let me know if I am pausing it too much. That's what I'm getting at. So chat, I will basically be talking as much as you are. So let's do this. This should be fun. Let's get into just a few things I want to say before we actually start the show. So let me just tag out some of the new faces I'm seeing. So Just Mike is here. Just Mike, nice to see you. We have C Bravo back at it again. What's up, C Bravo? We have Septic Aussie in the house. What's up, Septic Aussie? And we have KTG Jimmy. So what's up, guys? I'm sure some of you guys will jump in soon. So this is the deal. This podcast that I'm about to show you guys is, in my opinion, my favorite podcast I've ever been a part of. My most favorite discussion I've ever had. This discussion is really killer, and you learn some new things about State of Decay 2 that you never knew about. We get into how they, named some of the weapons. What was some of the philosophy behind creating the maps and why the maps were created and how they were created. Certain things like that are brought up. It's going to be a really fun experience. So that's just a primer. But before we get into that, I do want to talk about something just really quick. So this community really changed my life. See, the program and everything we use in 2019 for Arky Gamescast was completely supplied by this community. We grew a community from the State of Decay 2 franchise, and that community is basically the only reason Arky Gamescast is a thing, and we're able to do the streams and the podcasts and stuff that we do these days. So I am forever in debt to the State of Decay 2 community. My old my lisp came back. My not being able to say my R's correctly came back there for a second. But yeah, I will forever be in the State of Decay 2's community's debt. So I thought I'd bring this awesome, very, very long stream to you guys. This is going to be a really long day, guys. And I hope you guys are buckled in on this journey with me, because it's going to be awesome. I have not watched the podcast back yet. I experienced it live, so I thought I'd wait to experience it a second time, only in front of you guys. So that's what we're going to do today. But with that said, I want to give some honorable community mentions, because there were some community members that weren't able to make it in the nomination categories within the State of Decay 2 awards. And I feel like, you know, I know a lot of you, and I know a lot of you would have loved to be in a category. So right now, I'm just going to give you an honorable mention, because I believe that it doesn't really matter if you were in the categories. If you know you're a community member, if you know you're a part of the discussion, then the award show is for you, because it's honoring you. So here are just some honorable mentions throughout the community that unfortunately were not able to make it into the list just this year. Sorry. So first we have Mon Prince Cyclop, also known as the State of Decay Roof Parker, and he's been a real constant within the creator community and is genuinely a great person. So if you guys don't know Mon Prince Cyclops, he does some crazy stuff. He basically does what you think you can't in State of Decay 2. That is his mantra, basically. He parks cars in the most ridiculous places all over the map, and he's been doing it since the very first game, and he's going strong. So Mon Prince, there's a shout out to you, my friend. We have Zombient, also a former co-host for the coverage series and Arky Gamescast. So Zombient is a Twitch streamer who does amazing State of Decay 1 and State of Decay 2 streams. So definitely go check out Zombient. He is the creator behind the Bloater Yoga. Only few of you will know what that means if you saw any of our viewer clip series in the past with State of Decay 1. So we also have Harable, aka the Meme Queen. I don't think I have to go any further. We also have Del Slayer, one of the community's most passionate and positive forces, especially on Twitter. Del is a real supporter of everything State of Decay, and Del Z Slayer has been here from the beginning. So Del Z Slayer, kudos to you. And next we have the Mad Queen 88. The Mad Queen is a avid SOD streamer and a super entertaining watch. So go check out Mad Queen 88. She does multiple streams on multiple types of zombie games, like The Walking Dead is her most recent series. So go check out the Mad Queen 88, another staple within the community. And next we have Fabian 907. I know, guys, this is a long list and we're almost done, but we have to hit this at the beginning because we just won't have time to touch upon this as we go. So I'm sorry about that. But next we have Fabian 907, who is the logistic king, who has done some awesome work helping the State of Decay 2 creator community as well as fans of the game by creating weapon spreadsheets and things like this that really help newcomers as well. So he is a awesome positive voice for the community and on threads and forums throughout the entire internet. So Fabian 907, you probably have seen his name somewhere if you're looking State of Decay 2. So also, I want to just give a quick shout out to Meep Meep, Kevin McFarlane, Zachary Jimenez, Artificial Soul, DeBomb12, Cot Jockey, and I could name 1,000 more, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. So those are just some honorable mentions just from my side of the community that I have been able to witness for myself. So congratulations, guys, and I love you guys so much. And let's get into today's show. So first, before we do, let me just get into some of chat here. So we have Kevin McFarlane. Hey, Arky, just got out of the hospital. Feeling better now. Catch me up. Well, Kevin McFarlane, the State of Decay 2 Awards happened earlier this month on the Blaise Xperience podcast for his State of Decay 2 series. And he has a State of Decay 2 podcast that he does, I believe, every week. And he dives really deep into topics, even going so far to bring in Undead Labs to speak on the podcast. So the Blaise Xperience did a very awesome community event where basically he said, fans, I need you guys to come and vote for your favorite content and favorite creators throughout the State of Decay 2 community. So, you know, that happened and a lot of people voted. So basically what happened is we had the results and the results came in. And the Blaise Xperience invited your boy Arky to come and co-host the show alongside K-Sizzle3G and, to my surprise, Undead Labs, because the Blaise Xperience thought it would be great to not tell me Undead Labs was coming to get my raw reaction on that, because that was just mind-blowing, and I can't thank Blaise enough for giving me that opportunity to talk with Undead Labs for the first time verbally. And it was kind of like a culmination of the coverage series. It all culminated to that point, because that was like the payoff. Yes, the coverage series had revenue and all that, but it was nothing. That was the payoff. Being able to talk to those guys was the payoff, and I'm happy to show that with you guys today. DeBeast34, what's up? What's up, DeBeast? Nice to see you back. All right, Kevin McFarland, well, I do hope you get better. I hope your trip at the hospital got you good and you're feeling good and you're ready to take on the rest of your life, and you can look back at that sickness and say, peace, homie. All right, so what's up, Meet Me? Nice to see you back. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to switch scenes here. So I really enjoyed making this little video at the beginning. It was fun creating it and getting other people involved. And it was interesting, but we're going to get away from this scene here, and we're going to go to the official award show. Well, our official award show, a panel, I guess. It's not a panel. It's not people. You'll see what I mean. Just wait. Here we go. All right. So we switched. We're over to this now. Okay, it's a lot alike, but different. All right. So this is what's going to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the podcast, right? And the more you guys talk and chat, the more I'll stop the podcast and ask or answer questions and engage with you guys. But if you guys decide to just listen to the podcast and not chat, that's also all right. And I'm just fine sitting here and watching the podcast with you and not talking. But if you guys do decide to chat it up, I will chat it up with you. Kevin McFarland, indeed, just a rough patch. Thank you, though, Arky. Yeah, well, the rough patches in life are often, they seem to be the hardest things, but they will be the easiest things in life. I find that to be true throughout my days. Is the hardest things I have to come across, the hardest things I think I have to overtake, end up being the easiest things, because it was really only myself stopping me. But in your case, it was a sickness, so it's not like you can tell yourself not to be sick, but yeah, but hopefully you get back to 100%, Kevin McFarland. But I'm happy you're here. The Blaise Xperience, thanks for doing this Arky Gamescast. You're welcome, Blaise, man. Dude, thank you. This is all because of you. So no, thank you. And guys, give a big thanks to the Blaise Xperience. Go check out his YouTube, and he is on all podcast platforms. Please go over and support this man. All right. So we're going to start the podcast now. If you guys have anything more to say, say it, and we'll get to it. I will be reading your chat nonstop, guys. All stream, I'll be reading your chat. So keep chatting it up. I'll stop the podcast when I feel like people are done talking within the podcast, so I don't cut anybody off in the middle of listening to a part of the podcast that they are liking, if that makes sense. But yeah, big thanks, Arky. Great intro loop. Thank you, Septic. Thank you. Let's do this. Let's get into it. So we're gonna start it off here. And 3, 2, 1. Here's the State of Decay 2 awards for 2018, brought to you by the Blaise Xperience.
#61 today. And today's episode is a special episode. We once again have 4 people on with us right now. This is only the second time. Last week's was the first time we did that. And today is the State of Decay Awards results show. Last week we went over the nominations. We had Sarkoth on here, we had Fall Down Go Boom, and we had ML Mara. So we talked about all the nominations, and that was a very fun show. Today we have some great guests with us again to talk about it, and we're just going to get right into it. So today, here with us, we have a first-time guest in the podcast. We have a YouTuber and one of the nominees for Content Creator of the Year. Please welcome to the podcast, Arky Gamescast. How are you, Arky?
Hey there, Blaise. Nice to be here. Happy to be nominated. Thank you guys so much. This is one of the best communities on the internet and in gaming, and I'm happy to be here. So thanks, Blaise. Let's do this.
Absolutely. I love this community, and I'm really excited to do this and talk about all this. And it looks like we just had someone jump in that we were waiting for. So please welcome back for his second appearance on the podcast, a streamer and someone that is up for Streamer of the Year. Please welcome K Sizzleback.
Hello, hello.
How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Can you hear me well?
We can. So you jumped in at the perfect time. We just started the episode. So
awesome.
So nice timing.
That is great.
So that is our second guest, and we do have two guests on the same line together. We actually have a couple of developers from Undead Labs. We have back for his second time on the podcast. Please welcome designer Jeffrey Card. How are you, Jeffrey?
I'm doing good. Good to be here.
I'm glad you were able to join us for this.
Yeah, I sort of arrived at just the last minute. I've been getting my car repaired and got in here a little bit late today. Kind of ran in and found Brant and said, hopefully I haven't missed anything. Looks like I haven't.
Oh, yeah, those car repairs can always be rough. I have to get some done, too. So.
Oh, yeah, it turned out I have to go back later on today. It's just a whole disaster, but we won't get into it.
Well, hopefully it goes well for you.
Thanks.
And our final guest, we do have actually 5 on with us now. So please welcome for the first time to the podcast, artist from Undead Labs, Brant Fitzgerald. How are you, Brant?
Hey, good to be here. Thanks for having us on. I don't know what I'm doing here, but thank God Jeffrey showed up because I'm a disaster when it comes to technology. So here we go.
Well, you hit the button properly, so you got that far.
Thanks for making it that easy for me.
Yeah, it was fun watching him gingerly copy and paste the link. It was awesome.
It was
I did very softly copy and paste the link. I will admit to that.
Yeah, Brant was actually telling me in our little test we did earlier, Jeffrey, that you had to leave him like all these notes for the one stream you took off.
Yeah, no, that was fun. No, I guess once Brant gets going on a stream or anything like this, he goes all the way. I remember when I took a big break to take a summer vacation with my family, I was watching the stream on my phone in the car, and he even had like a puppet made of me to replace me on the stream. Like it was, I'd never seen anything so crazy.
It was mostly my emotional support puppet. But the person I was living with at the time, my landlady, she is very creative. And I said, hey, could you ever make a puppet? And she goes, oh, yeah, no problem. I said, I need one of Jeff Card. And she laughed and maniacally ran off to her craft room. And within a couple days came back with the puppet. And it was perfect.
Oh, my.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And it's 27-year-old Jeffrey Card, which makes me feel young looking at it because it's me with my long mane
There
of
you
curly hair. Instead of 40-year-old Jeff Card, which is the orange mohawk weirdo.
Right.
Well, you guys got through that stream all right. You had your Jeff for Jeff replacement plan in place. So
The orange mohawk. Love it.
Yes, it's glorious, I have to say.
It's uncomfortably close to Brant right now.
Ouch.
That's your next step. Join the club. We're accepting apps. I call us Skinions.
but we are here to talk about the State of Decay awards. So
Yeah.
I do have some little bit of notes about the actual results. So we actually had, anyone want to guess how many ballots total has?
1 billion.
210.
Is
A
it
little bit under that.
I'm gonna guess 234.
Well, you're still off by a lot.
Are we
509.
Are we low or are we high?
You're
Oh,
all high.
180.
Okay. All right. Not 97.
137.
137. So
137. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay, that's good.
Still
That's
pretty
good.
solid though. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's statistically significant, whatever.
Yeah. So
It'll work.
It's
It'll
enough
work.
to get some good results. Exactly.
Yes.
So we have 137 ballots cast. A couple of them were not able to be counted because the gamer tags provided, they didn't exist. So it wasn't fair to count those votes because it wasn't a verified vote, essentially. And then a couple of instances, it looked like they could possibly be fake accounts. There was 2 instances where the gamer tag provided had 0 gamer scores, 0 friends, and it just seemed like, this is a little bit fishy. So there's 2 instances where I didn't count those. So
It is so reassuring to hear that you are so much more careful with your votes than the federal government.
No, no, that is good. Yeah. I loved that point. I love that point that Jeffrey made, that Blaise is he is better at counting votes and making sure everything's by the point than the federal government is. I thought that was great.
Sure that wasn't my gamer tag with 0 points?
0 friends.
And no friends.
no, it wasn't yours. It wasn't yours.
You've got a friend in me.
But I kind of figured, if this is a gamer tag and they have literally 0 gamer score, that it seems a little bit fishy to me. Like they just made it just to vote. So
Yeah.
I'm
No,
like,
my 4-year-old son has over 1,000 gamer score.
Yeah, so I mean, you can get 5-10 gamer score in like 5 seconds by some games. So
Yeah, and by the way, thanks to everyone who did vote, because
absolutely.
Getting people to do anything outside of liking something, even getting people to like something on a page is difficult, but getting them to go through a whole poll, that takes some fan effort. So thanks to every fan who took the time to fill out the poll and submit that.
Yes, cheers.
Yeah. I mean, we had 16 categories. That's a hard ask for some people to vote in 16 categories.
Yeah.
So we do appreciate everyone voting for that. So we appreciate it. But I do want to say also that not every category had exactly 137 votes. Some people chose not to vote in some categories, which is fine. It wasn't stated that you had to vote in every category. So there's some categories that might have, 130 votes. Some categories might have like 110. So not every category has the same exact amount of votes, but I believe every category had over 100 though. So
Nice.
Okay.
But in future awards, this is meant to be an annual thing, so hopefully next year we do it again. Mm-hmm. And in future awards shows that might change. I might decide to just make it so you have to vote in every category. That way, every category gets the same amount of votes. But yeah, it still works out statistically either way. So
it's up to us to get you some content to vote about that.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm sorry, I have to go to work. I'll see you guys later.
You got to make 14 new categories worth of stuff I can vote on. So start working out some more traits, Jeffrey.
Yeah, you have a base
more than
work.
1,600 that are there.
Analysis.
Yes.
Yes, analysis would be a good one. You should vote that. But so that's a little bit about the statistics behind it. We do have 16 categories. Like I said, there's 14 for in-game content, and then there's 4 that are sort of for people in the community, like Streamer of the Year, Content Creator of the Year, things like that. And we're going to start with Best Map. The reason why we're starting with this one is because I wanted to get out of the way first, since this was the biggest blowout of any of them. So
I think I've got a guess.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you guys, what do you think your guess is for the best map? It was a big blowout, the biggest blowout of anyone.
I'm going to guess Valley.
Yeah, I'm betting Meager Valley.
Meager Valley.
I'm going to say Cascade Hills, just to be different.
Well, you guys did get the top 2. So number 4 was
nice.
the Daybreak map, which had 9% of the vote. So some people, even though it was a smaller map, they still voted for the Daybreak maps. That's cool.
Blaine's is a good place.
Yeah, definitely.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Blaine's Grocery Store.
And then it has the Snake Room, which is, I believe, Mark's favorite thing he created.
Snake's Eye.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then number 3 was Drucker County with 22.6% of the votes.
Awesome.
And then I'll just keep going up since this one's a big blowout. Cascade Hills had 27.1%. And Meager Valley was the winner with a whopping 41.4%.
Wow.
Almost half the vote.
We're going to have to go tell Luis that.
Yes.
So, can we expound upon that a little bit? Can I?
Definitely, yeah.
So, with I think the community voted that way for one specific reason. I think it is the way you can navigate
Driving,
that.
right?
Yeah,
that's
it's
what I was thinking too.
Navigation. It's that. All right, so one thing I want to say before we continue, I hated how I explained this. I couldn't explain it the correct way, but hopefully you guys get exactly what I mean when I talk about why the community voted for Valley as their number 1 map. Hopefully I'll explain it enough in the podcast. I just think I did a bad job at it, but I don't know. But let's get back to it. Valley is just so easy to navigate in. I think it's every place you can go in that map, it feels like you can really get a good idea of that map 2 or 3 hours in. The other maps, it's almost even like, especially if you played that map first. If you played Valley first, going to the other maps, it can get a little overwhelming for a lot of people. It did for me for the first couple of days when exploring all the different maps. So I think that just off of that first irk I got, I think it's just navigation. So I wouldn't take it any farther than that. I think it really just comes down to how players feel about having to take more time to do the things they want to do in the game.
No, I kind of agree. I mean, Brant and Jeffrey, you guys have any comments on that?
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, we tried, we had 3 different people who set up 3 different maps, sort of did the layouts, initial layouts, and we wanted to try different philosophies with each map.
That's good. I think that is the perfect way to do it. I don't think you guys should have done anything different with the way you guys did the 3 maps. I think that was genius having 3 different people. I didn't know that. That is really cool because then you do get to try those 3 different ways out. But as a player, for me, we don't know that. So we just, jump to our first conclusion. But knowing that fact, I think, changes a lot because that brings, you're trying things. A lot of devs don't try a lot of different things. You guys did a lot of different things with this game, and you went and you tried to innovate, and that's the very least we can ask for. Whether it hits or not, okay, but at the very least, Valley won. So there's something good here. There's really nothing negative about it. It's really just interest and player. It's statistical, really. Blaise is good at that. I'm not. I'm not really good at the logistical stuff.
I really love how lush the Valley is. It's really common, like classic post-apocalyptic stories, to have very sort of stark, dry, dead landscapes, which kind of it helps sort of build the emotional impact of an apocalyptic story. But I like the way that Maker Valley actually kind of goes for contrast instead, making the world feel extremely alive, and with sort of its bright colors, especially the greens and the blue sky, and then letting sort of the horror seep in from the events that you're experiencing.
And see, personally, I voted for Cascade Hills because for me, that's kind of the in-between where it's not too tough to drive on, but it's not too easy. And I also love a lot of the bases and a lot of the scenery in that map. So
same here.
My personal
that's
vote.
why I said Cascade Hills for number 2. It was because I'm a real big sniper. And it's got a lot of great, just awesome snipe lines there in Cascade Hills. So that would be my preference.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I actually have spent most of my personal playtime in Drucker County, even though it was the 3rd place map.
Same here, yeah.
And part of it is because, it's trying something new with the big plateau in the middle, which it disrupts your ability to navigate the map super easily. But it also sort of, it narrows your access. It kind of makes the game a little bit harder to play. And it gets, when you get into trouble far from home, your ability to get back home is much scarier. And so I do like it for that reason.
I actually have Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to add to that. It's interesting that, navigation wins out because during the production of the plateau, one of the things we ended up changing was adding that road on the north end, that sort of under construction road, just so that we had a little bit more access to that plateau instead of what it was east and south were the main entrances to that.
We had a lot of testers suicidally driving off cliffs.
In the
game.
So I actually have, just pertaining to the maps, I actually have 2 questions. One, did you guys, it seems like, now thinking back just from this conversation, it seems like these maps were almost made as like difficulty changes, as Valley is it is easy. Now that I think about it, the navigation makes it a lot easier. And as you get into, the Cascade, that's when you get into the hills, that's when it gets a little harder to navigate. And I think almost to play the game correct, I would say like the perfect way to experience the maps is from Valley to Cascade to County, I would say, to Drucker County, or well, I guess you could switch Cascade and Drucker because Cascade's harder. But what I'm saying is, like, you could almost set it up to where players are experiencing the map from like the community is. You're supposed to have the community throughout all 3 maps, and each map kind of does progressively get harder when you look at the different ins and outs of how the maps were designed and constructed. And I was that a design philosophy? Was that something you guys were trying to do?
No, it just worked out that way.
Okay.
Based on, because when we started those maps, we had no idea like what fuel consumption was going to be in the cars or how fast they would go, or even like the damage you would take from driving and how difficult it would be to navigate certain parts of the map on foot. So a lot of that was just what we went to the limits of what our system could handle for map size, and then started working backwards from there as far as like cutting out areas, like some of those inaccessible areas in Cascade Hills, were simply to allow us to stream other parts of the map in. But I mean, none of those decisions were made lightly. We're always thinking about the type of flow. But as we got further into developing the game and we got better at optimizing our streaming system and things like that, it's
okay. So obviously, Aussie Septic wants me to say something because he added me, and I said at the beginning of the stream, if you at me, I will stop the stream and talk about whatever you're talking about in the at. So Septic Aussie says, should have kissed more Undead Labs butt at Arky Gamescast with a couple smoochy emojis and LOL. Well, you know, you got to make a good introduction. I can't just like berate them. You got to keep it in context. This is an award show. This is an award show. I can't just like berate them with like fan questions and just crazy stuff. I think I think I played a comfortable hand trying to get good discussion, and I think that's what it's all about. It's just trying to have some good discussion and be positive and be excited about what we're talking about. So yeah, so Casey Kibi, what's up? What's up, Casey? How you doing? K-Sizzle 3G is the other spokesperson within this podcast you're listening to. So whenever you hear someone say, hey, KC, or, K-Sizzle, that's him. So definitely shout out to KC Kibi. We're going to get back to the podcast here.
It was interesting to see how map construction changed as well.
Yeah, because Meager Valley was the third map that we started. It was the last map, and it was the one where we understood the most about the way our system works.
That's
And
telling.
you notice that, I mean, Cascade Hills and Drucker County, they use a lot of classic level design strategies to block your viewpoint, make sure you can't just see across the entire map, because that can be deadly to a game that's, you know, streaming in the map in chunks while you're moving around. And Meager Valley is actually the riskiest map because of the sight lines are so long and ridiculous. But we could only do something like that after we kind of knew a lot more about what was possible in our world. And anyway, I'm assuming that we're talking way too much about our own. I feel bad because Brant and I just love to talk about this stuff. But I imagine we've got like other categories.
15 other ones.
That's my fault. That's my fault.
15 others. So.
Oh yeah,
It's all right though. So we'll get to the second category. So this second category we're going to talk about is favorite facility mod, and this was.
All right, so ASQD just showed up in chat. What's up, ASQD Gaming? I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys. ASQD has a huge role within the State of Decay 2 award show, so stay tuned. But yeah, ASQD Gaming, what's up, my man? Let's get back to the podcast. I keep interrupting. I'm sorry.
Basically a landslide for two of the entries. So it was basically a 2-horse race. I'll throw it to Brand. Do you have any guesses what the two in the race were?
I got to look at the nominations. I don't have them up on the screen.
At the nominations too. My favorite
it's
facility.
Compo Spin, Network Signal Booster.
So that outpost or the compost was my choice because I always set up gardens. And
that's the same deal with me. I always have.
That's one. Okay.
I know that a lot of folks really depend heavily on the hydroponics, but I'm always an outdoor farmer, and so yeah, the compost bin is huge for me.
And see, that is actually the one that I would have thought would have been in the top two, but compost bin actually got third with 13.5%.
Well, I mean,
all those hydroponics folks.
Right. It's okay to be wrong.
I'm
take it with grace.
So the favorite facility mods, right? That's the category?
Right.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to have to say it's going to have to be the rifle ammo press, because the rifle ammo press, I think just from a community perspective, when they look at that, they're going to look at compost bin and not remember how useful it was, or look at like the network signal or, the CNC mill. They're going to look at those and not remember how important those are, but they're going to look at the rifle press and be like, oh, I remember when I really wanted that, and when I obtained that, I was like, yes, I can make my own ammo. So they're going to go with rifle ammo. So that's my best guess.
And that's exactly what I think happened, because it was between rifle ammo press and network signal booster.
It had to be network signal booster.
That's exactly what happened, yep. And you would be right, Casey.
Ooh.
Rifle Ammo Press came in at 36.5%, and Network Signal Booster came in a little higher at 42.1%.
It's a popularity show
Network
there.
Signal Booster does get the win.
Nice.
Which I kind of expected that, because a lot of people do love their outposts. Hacking, which was nominated for a skill later on. Like people love that skill because it adds an extra outpost, so people love having more outposts in there.
Yeah, the Signal Boosters outposts are so important and so useful and stretch the flexibility of base design so much.
Yeah, we knew that the hacking skill on the Red Talon guys was going to be the most popular reward for Daybreak because it adds another outpost.
Well, we'll have to see when we get to that category how it did in that category.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Jeffrey. Way to go.
That's why that was in my head.
Yes.
Sorry for ruining your podcast.
That's what we're here to do.
Restart.
Of course.
Well, I honestly, we have no idea who won, and so if that was a spoiler, we'll find out later on.
Exactly. I'm the only one that knows, and I did that way on purpose. That way it'll be, honest reactions from you guys. I don't want everyone knowing, oh, well, I already know this one wins, so it makes it more organic this way. So I figured that's the best way to do it. But, KC, we're going to talk about the favorite facility next. Do you want to say which one got third place right here?
Which one got third place?
Yes. It's sitting there in the chat.
In the chat, yes.
The Red Talon Workshop.
I can take... Yes.
Yes, with 18.7%.
That's interesting.
Is that one that you guys would have thought of?
That is interesting. Let me check the ballot.
You want to know what's really embarrassing is that I don't believe I think that's one of the few things I haven't earned in Daybreak yet.
Wow.
You got to get that. That's like one of the top facilities you want. So.
Yeah, that's why I find it interesting that it's number 3.
You definitely want that. I would have thought that would be in the top 2, personally. Yeah. That's what I would have thought.
It could be that a lot of the voters haven't earned it yet, and that's why they didn't
appreciate
it.
That could be it.
That's possibly true.
That is interesting.
Well, and also, being completely honest, not nearly as many people played Daybreak as they did the original game.
Yeah.
Right? So
that is true too. Yeah. So maybe it's it's because they don't have Daybreak possibly, so they might not even have that or know what it is really. So
which will be further conversation for our next Undead Trials. Yeah. Plug.
Yes. I even worked on that thing for Update 6, but but I haven't earned it myself.
Yeah, and something for next year's awards, I would say take DLC or any downloadable content and give that, just really dedicate DLC to its own categories so that they're not in that base game, because so many more people are playing just the base Game Pass game that a lot of the community wouldn't necessarily know the DLCs or some of the paid content that did come out early on. So
yeah, I thought about having a category for like favorite DLC or something like that, but I didn't want to go too high in the category.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
I thought 16 was a good.
I also don't want to discount
we need to make
our ability or the ability of these awards and these different things to entice people to want to upgrade their game from just the main game and get into Daybreak, because it is just easy to grab a Game Pass membership and jump on the main game, but there's no pressure or no enticing to get into the Daybreak other than the players who love it and things like we do here. So I'm all for including the DLC stuff so that it is that additional enticement for people to upgrade their game and come on, get in deeper.
And you're thinking like a game developer.
My email address to send me an application is.
But
well, and Game Pass kind of caught us by surprise.
Yeah.
So we didn't have anything planned with something like Game Pass in mind, and so yeah, all of our content that came out was designed as sort of more traditional digital or whatever, but believe you me, all of our plans moving forward have that kind of service in mind.
Okay. I do have just I do have something to say. So the Game Pass, and so you guys are the leading in that. You guys are one of the pillars in the AAA games coming to Game Pass day one. That is like, I was astonished to hear that. And when I heard that, I was like, dude, these guys really want everybody to play this game. They want, and I was telling my audience, Undead Labs is so confident and so open to this community and getting a community that they want you to play this game to next to nothing. For now, like, you could get Game Pass if you're new for $1 a month. You can play State of Decay 2. So with that, you guys were also leading in the indie space on Xbox last generation. You guys are kind of really the leading developer in the Xbox AAA now first party scene. Can I ask, why did it take so long for you guys to get acquired by Xbox, by Microsoft?
So there's so many like levels to this question.
I would imagine, yeah.
And we weren't in a lot of the rooms where these kinds of decisions were made.
Yeah. A lot of those decisions were made so far above our pay grade that it was outside the building in many cases, right?
Yeah.
But one thing that we agree wholeheartedly on is that one of the strengths of State of Decay, I don't believe in the AAA title, the AAA label. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't think we're a AAA title.
Well, you guys don't conduct yourselves like a AAA kind of sheltered developer does. You guys are like a indie developer with AAA kind of gusto support to you. Not AAA.
Honestly, though, like lately, I don't even know if you want to be AAA anymore because
That's
a lot
true.
of AAA, games and companies have had a lot of issues. So I think where Undead Labs is at is a good spot, I think.
So a lot of the games that I admire the most out in the industry are the smaller indie games.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the ones that I spend most of my time playing. Those are the ones that I take the most inspiration from. I mean, so many of the ideas that went into State of Decay 2 came from just obsessively playing RimWorld. And games like that that's a very, very small team working on a game just out of love and hope for the chance of making something original.
So I'm not going to penalize Jeffrey for using the R word here, but man, RimWorld and Jeffrey are married forever, I believe.
It is my favorite game of all
time. Oh wow,
but
that's interesting.
The point is though that we like the fact that this studio runs like an indie studio, that even as we get larger, even as we get acquired, so far we've managed to keep the connection to our community who we love. We've managed to keep the lines of communication open and try to we try around here to give people a lot of influence and ownership over what they're making. And that's hard to maintain. As you get bigger and bigger, it's harder and harder to maintain that.
Exactly.
So, we're going to have to see how well we do at keeping that going in the future, but we're certainly trying. It's one of the reasons that Brant and I like working at this company.
Absolutely. But we can kind of finish up with the favorite facility here. So, Brant.
Is that what we're talking about?
If you want to announce number 2 and number 1, I have them up there in the chat.
All right. So number 2 was the Armory at 29.1%. And then, surprising no one, hydroponics at 37.3 is the winner.
That's what we all figured it would be, yes. So.
I'm so happy that got into the game.
So, yeah. The hydroponics is amazing.
Brian put a lot of work into trying to balance all of the different farms and gardens and things like that against each other, and make it so that that things had the right costs and the right output. And I'm glad that work paid off. That people really appreciate climbing to the top.
Now, Jeff, did you vote?
I did. I can't remember which one I voted for in this particular category. It might have been the Armory actually, but because I'm not, like I said, I'm an outdoor farmer.
That's why I asked.
I like the sun on my neck, the wind in my hair.
Yes, Jeffrey always has dirty fingernails.
Which I actually want to say, too, the Armory, I think why it probably got ahead of the Workshop is kind of the same reason that the Rifle Ammo Press got second in the other category. People probably really appreciated the ability to, make any kind of bullets they want in the Armory. So that's probably why, I think.
Mm.
As well as the gas grenades, smoke grenades. It's the only place you can get them from other than finding them with the RNG.
Oh, good point.
I also like the art in hydroponics. Between Dan Cole, one of our artists, did most of the art setup for most of the facilities, but I also helped. And I also went in and added the little water drips and stuff in the hydroponics when you turn it on. So,
nice.
I have a lot of love for
A little biased there.
Hydroponics Lab.
Is that?
Yeah, a little bit.
That's all right.
Brent tripped all over that thing.
Yeah, the hydroponics is amazing, and that was my vote. I mean, I couldn't think of voting for anything else. The Red Talon Workshop, we did make a good argument for it in the nominee show, but I think the hydroponics still takes the cake, though. So, but next.
Have a good night, Kevin McFarland. We'll see you next time. Have a great night. Have a great night, buddy.
Up, we have one of our categories for a person in the community, and this is for Rookie of the Year. So all the people in this category were streamers that are possibly new streamers, they're possibly newer to the community, or I want to say with this category too, because we did have some discrepancies with it where some people took it the wrong way. Basically, by Rookie of the Year, it wasn't meant to be a slight to anyone. It's basically, since this is the first awards show, essentially anyone that didn't make the Streamer of the Year category is eligible for this category. So, like, for example, there's people in here like, say, Andy T. Pims, for example. He's definitely been streaming for a while. He's not, like, new to streaming. But because he didn't make the other category, he was eligible for this one, if that makes sense. So,
Gotcha.
And then there's people like ACC, for example. ACC has a lot of followers, and he's definitely not new to streaming either, but he was newer to the community, so he kind of fit into this category. So, for example, next year in this category, it would only be people that are newer for this entire year. But because it's the first awards show, it kind of made sense to couple people in there that were still eligible because it's the first awards show overall, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
So hopefully that makes sense, everyone. That kind of clears it up because there was a little bit of disruption with that, but
no, I can see that how that could be a miscommunication. But I know that like everything you do on this show, Blaise, is clearly meant to make people happy, and
exactly.
So,
and I would like to add that anyone who streams our game is my streamer of the year.
Well, we have a lot of great ones, and we had 7 in this category. So even if they didn't make the top of the voting, I will shout them all out right here. We had I Kill You, we had Tall Guy Gaming, Big Red, ACC, Andy T. Pims, Mr. Huge, and Scarproof. So all of you are awesome, and congrats on being nominated. So before we get into the results,
absolutely,
and a hearty thank you from us here at Undead Labs for supporting our game. We really appreciate it.
But first up, we actually had a tie for number 4, so I'll call that out. So our tie was put in the chat here. Jeffrey, if you want to announce our tie right there for number 4.
Our tie for number 4 is ACC and Big Red. Both of them got, was that 12.9%?
Yep, 12.9%. So they both tie for number 4. So congrats, guys. You put in a strong showing there, and it kind of shows how close some of these categories were, because I left some of the very close ones towards the end of the show, but there were some that came down to literally 1 vote, and that's how close some of these categories were. So we're going to get to some closer ones than that even. So that kind of shows, how close it really got. But number 3, we had Scarproof with 18.8%. So
nice.
Congratulations,
Congratulations.
Scarproof. 18.8.
Yeah, congrats.
Mm-hmm.
My man, Joe.
And then I will let Sizzle announce number 2 and number 1 here. So I'll put that
Sweet.
in the chat for
Again,
you.
congrats to my boy Joe, Scarproof. Number 2 was our longtime Sod 1 original fan, Andy T. Pims, coming in at 21.2% of the votes. And number 1, our winner, the foul mouth man himself, the very tall guy gaming, with 24.7% of the vote. Man.
So again, very close. Only
I think
3%
KC has
Tall Guy
to.
and Andy.
I think KC has to announce all the winners because he's got the pledge.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So,
I missed my call.
Blaise,
Yes.
for the winner for this category, Tall Guy Gaming, is there a backstory you can give to this guy? What did what do you think about why the community went for him, and did he what was his mantra of the year? What did he contribute to the community?
I would just say he definitely is one that actually qualifies for the technical word rookie, because he's definitely someone that's newer to streaming and someone that was newer to the community, and I think people really caught on to that and they just appreciated that. So
I'd also add,
for example, Andy, who got second, Andy was more of a old mainstay in the community, but he kind of applied to the looser term of the word rookie, where tall guy, he definitely applied more in the traditional sense of the word. And I think, he's definitely someone that is up and coming in the community, and I can definitely see a big year for him. So he's been streaming a lot of State of Decay.
Yeah, I'll also add to that, in our first Undead Trials in Daybreak, he had an exceptional run, being brand new to the title, to the game, and he ranked pretty high in the first trials.
I'm glad you called that out too, because for the solo Daybreak win, he was actually the person in the lead until Fall Down went last. So Fall Down had to beat him, and Fall Down beat him the last one. So tall guy would have won if Fall Down didn't beat him.
Well deserved, Chris.
Yeah,
well deserved.
Yeah. And congratulations,
Chris.
and congratulations to everybody in that category, all the nominees. There's always new voices popping up in the community, and for those people to be recognized is awesome. So Blaise, thank you for even considering everything you could have possibly considered, because I gotta say I couldn't do anything like this. So just congratulations to all the nominees, and
thank you.
Blaise, good job.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It was definitely hard to limit it. I wanted to make a cap somewhere, and for the people that are the content creators or the streamers, I wanted to make a hard cap of 7 nominees, because I felt if I went any higher than that, it's just getting a little bit too crazy.
Yeah, it gets hard to nail it down.
Even picking the 7, it was just really hard. There's some great people that had to be left out that I feel bad about, but it's really hard to pick 7.
There was a couple of table discussions there between Blaise and I about the nominees. And we had to pan it out.
Next year have a honorable mention for those who just slipped right by, maybe down at the very bottom, just honorable, but yeah,
honorable mention.
Well, I can actually call out a couple right now. I mean, three that come to mind that didn't make this category or Streamer of the Year. We had Ethereal Jade, who is a great streamer on Mixer.
Okay.
She's been dealing with some medical issues, and she's been out of commission for a little while, but she's going to be back to streaming soon.
Oh wow!
And she's a great streamer, and I wanted to put her in this. I also wanted to put in Devil's Feline, another great streamer.
Who will be featured on the Undead Trials, Undead Labs stream this month on the 29th, by the way.
This month, yep.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So she'll be on that stream soon. And the other one that I want to call out is one that actually was on the stream as well, Surreal Scotsman. He hasn't been streaming in a while. He's been taking a break, but I definitely wanted to include him too, but it was just really hard to make the decision to where to cut the line and things like that. So those are 3 that I really want to call out that I wanted to include, but props to you guys as well.
I'm biased. If he had been in the category, I would have voted for him. Mostly because I loved listening to his voice when he was streaming. I would just put it on in the background and just let him run with it. He's a great guy, and I hope he comes back to streaming sometime soon.
Yeah.
I hope so too, yeah.
Good guy, Derog.
Yeah, with Jade and him in particular, it was hard for me to make the decision on that, but I thought because, both of them haven't been streaming in a while, I felt it was a little bit more fair to give the nod to some other people possibly. So, you can say what you will about that, but they're definitely great streamers too. So I wanted to include everyone.
Well, congratulations to everyone on this list. And again, thanks from Undead Labs for everyone, including you guys, for your constant support.
Game's perfect.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
And everyone, does a great job. So thank you to everyone in the community.
Game's perfect.
But we can move back into a category about in-game content now. We're going to talk about favorite leader type. And this one, I definitely made the distinction that it wasn't the Legacy Boon, because we all know if it was Legacy Boon, then Builder would win hands down.
100% of the votes.
Yeah, there's really no choice there.
Yeah. It would be like 95%, and then the rest would get like 1% each. So that's why I've typically said it wasn't the Boon. So favorite leader type, because it wasn't the Boon, Builder did get 4th with 17%, which I'm sure we could all, imagine a little bit. I actually did a podcast talking about like the Builder Legacy missions and things like that, and I think those are the lowest level missions in my view, and I think the other missions held up a little bit better.
Yep. Completely fair.
And yeah, which I talked about in the podcast too. I mean, it definitely, I don't think it's really the fault of you guys at the studio, because how do you really make a Builder mission? Because it's not like, a sheriff mission. Oh, well, a sheriff goes out, they take care of the world. Or warlord, oh well, they're gonna use some arms. Trader, they're gonna go and trade. Like, what do you do as a builder?
Go build sheds.
What you're saying it's definitely not the fault of the person who was assigned to script the missions for the builder. It might be the fault of the person who came up with the idea of having a leader type be a builder, which is me, and I'm very sorry.
No. More is always better. More is always better.
No, but don't worry about it. You always, the thing is, you always know that when you're creating something, there's a good chance that something isn't going to go out as well as you thought, or something, if you make multiple things, something's got to be people's least favorite, right? And so it's totally cool. I do not take any offense or any worries about, something not being people's favorite.
Well, and there's another part to that. In our haste to make this game after switching engines twice, one of the places that suffered from our lack of time was the tools to for designers to actually craft really unique style missions. We gave them some bare bones stuff, and they made the best they absolutely could out of the tools that we gave them. And so I can see why the builder boons are better, right? Because of all of them, the legacy missions in that were less exciting. But it's funny. I almost always go with builder just because of the benefits.
I think it's a good trade-off. I think it's a good balance between the missions and what it takes to get through to get that awesome boon. I think it's a good trade-off.
Well, the builder boon, actually, like whenever you're planning a system in a game and you haven't come up with all the content yet, you usually come up with one really good example of the kind of content you want that system to have. And so, for instance, when we were coming up with the legacy boon system, the builder boon was the one that we were always holding out, saying, "Look, this is the kind of thing you could get. You could get." Free power and water all the time for your next community, and it sounded really exciting. And
awesome, yeah.
But usually, a lot of the time, what you'll find is once you actually get to filling out the rest of the content in the system, your one example that you came up with is actually by far the best thing you could possibly offer, and everything else has struggles to catch up. And that's true of a lot of parts of the game, where it's like the thing that we thought of initially, like yes, this is why we're making this system so that we can have this piece of content. It's then a huge challenge trying to make everything else rise to the same level.
And I have a quick question. Adding the leadership roles, adding those, leader archetypes, was that the main focus when, kind of switching from that singular story narrative driven type of focus to a more dynamic narrative? Like in the very early information, we knew that it was a dynamic narrative. We didn't know how far that dynamic narrative went. And what we got was
too far.
We got a dynamic narrative, but at that point, even in that point, I think it was hard to even try to describe what kind of game you guys were making, because there wasn't a game to reference to, because I think you guys are doing something very singular in the industry right now when it comes to how multiplayer is working, how you have all these different roles you can play in an RPG, which is in a zombie apocalypse that is simulated. That is not no easy feat, and you guys are the only ones attempting it. So I gotta say, the leadership, my question is, was that the thing that kind of took you guys away from a singular narrative?
I wouldn't say it was the thing, but it was definitely always a foundational part of our plans for trying to tell a dynamic story. It was that, we wanted to sort of link the idea of quote unquote winning the game with the story that the game was going to be telling. And so that was always a fundamental part of what our plans were. And I really appreciate you framing it that way, because, we're perfectly aware that some of the story, like the story of State of Decay 2 isn't its strongest thing, because we were trying something weird and experimental. And sometimes when you try something weird and experimental, you knock it out of the park and you just blow everyone's mind and you alter the industry. And, we knew that there was, we were rolling like a 20-sided die. If we rolled a 20, that's what would have happened. But all of the other numbers have some level of, it didn't quite work out the way we hoped. And so there's definitely plenty of room to criticize, but that was the whole point of what we were trying to do, was to try to see how big this envelope is, to take the idea of storytelling in games and try to push it in new directions and see where we could go. whenever you try something like that, there's a good chance that what you make will have weaknesses that are pretty clear. But then you can learn from those weaknesses. And I'm hoping that our next State of Decay story that we assist the players in telling will be more satisfying because of the things we learned from State of Decay 2.
Yep.
Well, for me, I'll say too that with the story aspect of it, in some ways, I would almost think that you could say the story in the second game is a little bit better because it's more geared to your personal story. So
yes.
In that sense, I do appreciate that because I can have whatever type of story I want. I know, for example, myself and Kay Sizzle, we like to sort of role play our characters a little bit and kind of like come up with our own stories in our head for, oh, well, this person, this. Like, for example, my leader in my community, I had like the storyline made up in my head where she was dating like her second in command, and he died, and she feels bad about it now. So
you are exactly the player we had in mind when we were designing the system.
I like how you put that, Jeff. You put you guys made a game to assist us tell a story. That's awesome. Yes, that's exactly what I do. Tell a story.
That's the hope, and I'm really the thing is like every game has sort of got its audience, like the group of people for whom the way that game came together, it's perfect for the way that they play. And some games have very large audiences where it's easy for them to find lots of people who are exactly right for their game. And some games kind of have small audiences or small core audiences that fully are looking for exactly what that game provides. And so whenever you find someone who's in your core audience, it makes you really happy because you're like, okay, good, I made this for someone.
There
and
truly are people out there who we made the game for. So
well. It seems like you almost made the game for people who love breakdown mode in the first game. That's what it seems. Now that I'm thinking about it, it seems like you took back what people really, really took from State of Decay 1. What made people play for a long time, and that was breakdown. And I think you guys took some fundamental, awesome things within that mode, and you implemented it into that bigger. Not singular narrative like the first one had, but into that this is that open world, and this is that game, and we're going to expound upon that breakdown mode 100% and incorporate that into the story, so to speak, or that dynamic narrative. And that's what I get from it. So it's like when people are asking Breakdown 2.0, when's it coming? It's almost like we already got it, it seems.
So you hit the nail on the head. Our intent was to take what we learned from Breakdown and just make the whole game more playable like that. And whether we hit that perfectly or not, that's on us based on the decisions we made, during production. But absolutely the spirit of what was successful about Breakdown was played a major part in how we crafted.
Because like Brant and I, for instance, we were still doing the State of Decay 1 streams, while we were working on State of Decay 2, and everything we were, what we were playing, what other people were playing, like we were seeing so much Breakdown, out there in the world. It's like it seemed really clear to us that while people, enjoyed all the three different iterations of State of Decay 1, the audience that just stayed and kept on playing was the Breakdown audience.
Exactly.
All right, so we better keep going here.
I'm sorry.
No, not your fault.
But to end up with favorite leader type here, our third was Sheriff at 25.2%. And I'll just kind of go through the first two as well. The Warlord was second with 26.7%. And first was my personal favorite, the Traitor, at 31.1%. So I'm glad the Traitor got some love there because I love the Traitor personally. So
the Traitor is one of the more sort of like positive and hopeful approaches. The Traitor. The Traitor kind of gets assigned to characters who really want to go out there and be kind to other people, make contact with other people, and it makes it a pretty compelling one.
Yeah, that's actually the leader of my community, and that kind of goes back to the story aspects. She kind of has that mentality where if she loses a community member, like it really hits her hard, kind of thing. So.
See, that's funny because my traitors almost always end up with the trait where they start arguments.
Really?
So.
Not very good customer service.
You and I are gonna have to talk after this, Jeffrey.
Well, I know in Jeffrey's community, his traitors don't even last because all his characters die. So
it's because he lets fools like me play his game.
Well, Darcy actually got the record. She killed 3 in one stream, so she has the record.
Daisy, yeah.
Daisy did the best.
Daisy, sorry, yeah.
She's the most accomplished massacrer.
Yeah, she's straight up murderer.
Yeah. It's going to be a hard record to take away. So
I'm sure somebody will do it.
But moving on, we have our next category, which is best skill. So this will be interesting for you, Jeffrey.
Oh, yeah. I'm fascinated to find this one out. Though I have a guess about what might be the best one.
Well, I am going to call out last place because I actually voted for last place in this one. So
let me guess. Is it sewing?
No, sewing wasn't actually eligible.
I know. I was just kidding. You called it out in a previous podcast. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Last place was my favorite one, which is unfortunate. It only got 5 votes total. Is discipline. I love discipline, but apparently other people didn't agree with me. So I figured I'd call it out. But I voted for last place. I was one of the only 5 people out of 137 people that voted for discipline. But
it's got a special place in my heart too.
Yeah, I agree. Discipline, I just think is really cool because the stamina options it provides you. So, but it is what it is. So, but number 3 was close combat with. Well, actually, technically, it was number 4 with 14.2% of the votes. Mm-hmm. And then number 2, we actually had a tie. So, Jeffrey, do you have a guess what the tie for number 2 was?
Oh, I have forgotten what the nominees were, so I'd be useless at.
Yeah, we actually tried to bring up the
ballot so we could look at
again, but since we already voted, we can't see the categories anymore.
Oh, okay, I can.
Okay, here they. Yeah, Arky just posted them up there. Okay, so.
Okay, yeah.
See here for the top, maybe gunslinging and marathon. That's my guess.
Well,
I don't know. What is it?
You got one of them. You can announce it right here. That's number 2, the tie.
It's gunslinging and swordplay. Okay, yeah. No, swordplay makes sense. I just know that
17.9%.
people love to run, but.
And number 1, I'll let Arky announce. This might surprise some people, but it kind of makes sense to me when I see the data. You know, Arky, this is number 1.
All right, number 1 comes in weapon handling at 26.1% of the vote. Weapon handling. So I could have guessed that. I mean,
yeah, me too.
It's the most prevalent.
People want to unjam.
Yeah, it's the most prevalent skill when you're out in combat, when you're out in the field doing what you need to do. So when people see the list, they're like, "Yeah, I needed that. I'm gonna go weapon handling."
Right.
So it's so easy for me to forget weapon handling because I'm such a sparing user of guns.
I am the same way.
Game, that I don't actually end up needing it that often.
It's funny. My real world experience had me voting for weapon handling simply because, your tools are going to treat you like you treat them. So, like personally,
I'm sorry, I missed whatever that notification was on stream, guys. Someone can tell me what that was. I don't know what it was, but yeah.
Every time I use them in real life, so of course I'm going to go with weapon handling to be able to unjam.
Yeah, I mean the one I'd say I'm most surprised about is marathon. They didn't get more votes; it got 12.7%. So I'm kind of surprised it landed that low. I would have thought more people would pick that one, but
how did hacking do? Because I kind of expected that one to be high, but it's another daybreak skill, and so I can see why people might just not have much experience with it.
Hacking was second to last with 7.5%, and dead last was discipline with 3.7%. So
wow. Okay. Well,
how's it feel to be so wrong, Derek?
Oh, it feels great.
I think I voted for gunslinging. So that was one of my favorite ones to just sort of to plan out.
Yeah, I think a lot of I wouldn't say experienced players voted for gunslinging over.
Spiritual. I missed your sub notification. What's up, Spiritual? Thank you. Welcome to Gamescast. Let's get back to the podcast.
For weapons handling, I can name on one hand the players who picked gunslinging, or the voters. So yeah. I'm surprised it didn't come in really close to weapons handling.
Yeah, I think kind of like what Arky was saying. Weapon handling is more of a skill that is more practical in your use in the game. Where gunsling and swordplay, I think they're more skills that are like novelty, that's like really cool to have, but it's not like a necessity that you're going to need.
That's right.
So Blaise, I have a question, Blaise. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the skills now. Was it marathon that came in 4th?
No, it was. Let me see real quick.
It was close combat.
It was.
It was close combat.
Yes,
Okay.
close combat. Yep. So close combat was technically 4th, marathon 5th, hacking was 6th.
Okay,
and discipline
because
7th.
what I was gonna say is it looks like more gameplay-driven skills are more likable because you're using them more often. So so that's why it seemed like I would hope marathon would be upper on the list, but it seems like all the sword play, gunslinging, close combat, and weapon handling, I feel are obvious for community love because they're used throughout your entire gameplay experience.
That's true. Hacking and discipline are more passive skills, right? They're skills that you get, and then
Right.
you've got an advantage that you just sort of coast with for a long time instead of actively feeling like, wow, I just did a thing that gunslinger let me do, you know?
Which maybe that's why discipline was so low for other people, is that, it's a skill that you get and then you don't think about it ever again.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate the intrinsic
Exactly.
value of discipline, but other people might not look at it for that, so.
I just like what close combat does to your character, right? It makes you just feel like
Bad.
this
Yeah.
And
CQB
I
badass.
love
Thumbs up on
taking
that
my
one,
pills
yep.
with it. It's awesome. But moving on, we can talk about category 7. We're going to talk about the favorite explosive or distraction item.
Yes.
So, once again, I voted for the lowest of all of these. Which, Brant, you might be able to call out the one I voted for, because in the stream we did with Undead Labs, we actually used this one.
Oh. I can't remember all of them. I remember which one I voted for.
The Block Rocker?
Well,
Yep, the Block Rocker, yeah.
So
That's
Block
what I voted
Rocker has a place in my heart because John Gronquist, one of the original members of the team, he was actually the person that I started streaming our game with years ago. He came up with the art for that, and it just made me laugh every time I saw it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just because it's the DLC, maybe, that's why it was so low or what, but for me, it just has a special place for me because it's so fun to use, and I love the actual noise it creates. It creates such a huge noise radius that you can draw in so many zombies, so if you want to just have some fun and have a fight on purpose, you can literally just drop one down and fight some zombies. So I love it for that too, but once again, only 5 people voted for that one, so last place with 3 points.
I'm starting to think that your vote counts for 5.
Well, Block Rocker's
Maybe.
Block Rocker's heavy too, right? I mean, it's heavier in
That's true,
comparison
yeah.
to things like the Firecrackers, which I voted for because I can pack a bunch of them and not have to fight anything because I'm terrible. But Block Rockers, I love it. It's just because I can't carry 30 of them with me into the field.
Right. Moving on up the list, number 4 is actually the one that Jeffrey voted for, the Boombox at 14%.
I was about to say,
So,
yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
vote.
So that got 14%. And number 3, it might be another one that got a little bit lower because it was a Daybreak item. It was the deployable minefield at 19.1%. So I think the deployable minefield it's very useful in Daybreak, but in the base game I don't see it as much.
Yeah, I'm impressed the Daybreak item got that high, actually. It kind of speaks to its value.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
super
it does.
cool. It's super cool.
Mhm.
I love the idea of a deployable minefield like that.
Agree.
For those who used it in Daybreak, especially those early days in Daybreak, for those who got the deployable minefield, it kind of it changed everything for Daybreak. It made it a little bit more manageable getting into the later rounds. So maybe that's why they just it was impactful. It had an impact on the community for a little bit.
Oh, without a doubt. The first I used to play Daybreak with Fallout Girl a lot, and
On her 60 win streak.
I remember she had like a million wins in a row.
yeah, I'd pop back over the wall to pick up a health pack, and the entire the ground looked like it was a Christmas Christmas display because it was just littered with all the blinking lights, and I was afraid to walk back there.
Which I'm actually curious if you guys anticipated, that many minefields being placed at once, because I know early on in Daybreak there were some issues where game crashes would happen because of that. There's too many minefields out there. And that's since been solved, but I'm curious if you guys actually thought the players would actually be putting out that many minefields at once.
We can never predict what's going to happen when the game. I mean, like, no matter what we predict, it's always more.
Yeah, you guys are insane, basically.
Shout out Monty Prince.
Yeah.
But KC, if you want to announce number 2 and number 1 for
our favorite explosives, the community's favorite explosives, we picked Firecrackers for number 2 at 22.8%. before I get into number one, anyone want to say anything about the firecrackers?
I use them constantly.
Yeah. When taking down plague hearts, anything specific?
Yeah. I mean,
mostly because I'm a terrible. I get distracted and not paying attention to what's biting my neck, and so if I see more than 3 or 4 zombies, I'll just throw firecrackers and try and do what I meant to do.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Jeff?
Yeah. Oh, about firecrackers? Well, I mean, they're not the one I voted for. I wanted the boombox.
Yeah, same
so
here.
Don't ask
Boombox, I can't survive without my radio too. I love old school LL.
Had to go.
I think
I'll say anything on the zombies.
Well, I think with firecrackers, what a lot of people like is that you throw it and it's an instant use. Where like a boombox, you have to place it and wait for it. So I think that's why maybe
they're faster. You can stack them more, and
sense.
they're quick reaction. But number one is you get your bang for your buck with the C4 coming in at 29.4% of the votes. I love C4. Mostly for taking down plague hearts, because that's I can have some fun with trying to take down a juggernaut and get him to walk over C4, but they're mainly for plague hearts. And when I'm going on a plague heart run, and I want to take out all the plague hearts on the map, I'm stacking up with C4.
Well, and you can make some fun chain explosives too, right? By lining up C4 down a road or something and blowing up everything that happens to be near.
Also,
in sequence.
Well, actually, with the C4 too, before the unstuck option came for vehicles, I actually tried using C4 to move the vehicle.
This is true.
It did not work.
I did the same thing. C4 was my go-to to move cars. Yep. Yep.
That works in real life too.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, I can just repair the car after. Let me just try and C4 out of this ditch.
Yep.
Seems legit.
It didn't work all that often, but it was fun.
It didn't work.
It was fun. But I also use C4s to disrespect hostile enclaves. Once I've totally decimated a hostile enclave, I will put their melee weapons inside of whatever structure they were using as their home, and I would C4 it. And it would be this whole cinematic thing.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah.
Remind me to never get on your bad side.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have a nemesis,
exactly. That's my good.
No, if you're gonna have a nemesis, you want it to be the builder, because all they're gonna do is build stuff back up for you.
Yep.
The builders be like, I don't like you. I'm gonna build something around you.
Oh, that sounds like a horrible Sims player.
Yeah,
maybe.
Any when you guys were making the explosives, who was there a specific team working on the explosives or those things, the deployables and yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was Gronk, Jeff Solt, and Brian kind of working in concert, making that stuff happen.
Yeah, and there was quite a bit of work that went into differentiating and making the explosives interesting. Like one of my favorite things that came out of that was how the fire reacts into Molotovs. That was something that we didn't have the ability to do until Jeff Salt rolled up his sleeves and just made it happen. Nice. So his work then expanded into all the other possibilities with how explosives can act differently. Each one has different characteristics, and people who play a lot will start to notice just the subtle differences between them.
Subtle things we couldn't put in the descriptions, right? Where you just have to try things out and see how the flame moves.
Speaking of which, I want to make that point to whoever's listening to the podcast that speaking of Molotovs and different explosives, they don't compound in damage. If you throw a Molotov, let it burn out, because if you throw a second and third one, it's not doing more damage. I think it was Undead Mark who brought that up, and so I wanted to make that point to whoever's listening. Wait till it burns out.
You can't be any more on fire than you already are.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which, since we're just ending the discussion on explosives here, I'm actually curious. The deployable minefield specifically, is that something that ever got thought about in the base game, and then you kind of just had time to bring it out in Daybreak, or is that something that wasn't thought about before?
I don't think so. I think that it was specifically to solve the problem of we wanted the Daybreak experience to feel like a proper base defense experience with a lot of defensive options, and And so it was like part of solving that problem, because Daybreak was an interesting space where we wanted to make a proper, defense game, but we were building an expansion pack, not an entirely new game. And so so our resources for creating brand new things was kind of limited. And that kind of forces you to come up with interesting solutions to problems. And so the deployable minefields are that kind of solution. It's a really interesting, weird solution to solving a very unique problem. So Daybreak generated that much more than anything else.
It does.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I also was not on that team, and so I could be wrong, and someone could come in and tell me, no, I was thinking about that for a long time, but that's the impression I got.
Nice. Well, we are halfway through our categories, coming in with our
We are halfway through the categories, but guys, we are not halfway through this podcast. This podcast went on for some time because basically because I couldn't keep my mouth shut and stop asking like stupid fan questions that I just could not ask, because I just, like when you're in front of like, especially the two guys that like do a lot of the streams over at Undead Labs, these are the guys who do all of the like the Twitch streams, the Mixer streams. When Undead Labs streams, you can bet Jeffrey Card's gonna be there, and Brant will most likely be there sometimes. But these guys are deep into the community, and it was so awesome to finally get to talk to these guys. So that's why I ask so many questions, and I'm sorry that I made this thing so long. Hopefully, I don't know if I'm just like thinking about it too much, but I'm sorry if I made this thing go on too long, but I thought we had some really good discussion, so let's get back to it.
Category.
We're about to be, so yeah.
Woo!
So our eighth one here is actually one that was so close, it's not even, I can't even imagine this being this close, but the favorite community event, so we're talking Undead Trials 1, Undead Trials 2, Decay Fest 1, Decay Fest 2. This was literally so close that almost all of them got basically around 25%. There was technically a winner, but just to put in perspective how close it was, number 4 was literally 3 votes away from number 1. Number 3 was 2 votes from number 1, and number 2 was 1 vote from number 1. That's how close it was.
It's like we all like collaborated or something to make that happen, except we couldn't have. No one could be organized enough to make that happen on purpose.
Yeah, Derek, it just means that we're all winners here.
Yes. I'm just kind of glad about that personally, because as someone that was involved in all those events, I think it speaks to that. There wasn't one event where people didn't like it. I think it speaks to everyone liking all the events.
Definitely. Those who put the work in to bring those events to the doorstep, very much so appreciate that everyone loved them. So yeah, thank you guys who are listening for loving their events. More to come.
So KC, I'm kind of curious what your perspective is. Do you have a guess which one was 3 votes ahead of the rest of them?
Which one was 3 votes ahead of the rest of them? I would have to say it was probably Undead Trials 1, Daybreak.
All right, well, I'll announce it here. Number 4 was the first Decay Fest, so that was 3 votes behind the number 1.
The first.
Number 3 was, I didn't say the percentage. Decay.
All right, so Death Hour is asking, so what is this? Okay, so for those who are catching the stream while it happens and are watching it while it happens, this is the State of Decay 2 awards show that took place just a little bit ago, and this is our live commentary, our live put on of the State of Decay 2 awards by the Blaise Xperience. Definitely, guys, go check out the Blaise Xperience, the original State of Decay 2 awards podcast. I will link it in chat as I speak. But Death Hour, so this is the award show. So basically, I got to talk with Undead Labs themselves. Finally, Death Hour, I know you've been here for a while, so you know that one of the goals was to talk with Undead Labs, and we finally hit that and achieved that, and we did it just the other day. So this was that. You guys can check this out on the link, or you guys can stick around and catch it to the end. But definitely go check out the Blaise Xperience. Let's continue, Death Hour. Hopefully that was a good enough explanation. I'll interject in about 10 or 15 minutes because I want to just talk about just my experience on the podcast and all that with you guys. So I'm going to interject in about 10, 15. But yeah, so let's continue.
Fest 1 got 23.7%. Then at number 3, Decay Fest 2 got 24.6%. That was 2 votes behind the first one. So both of the Undead Trials events got more by 1 vote each.
Okay, right now he is talking about the State of Decay 2 events that have been put on by the community since the game's been out. Wow, most recent.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Yep, most recent.
It was the most recent, and it was also the one that, I mean, it was so complex what people were doing, and there's so much variety in what was going on. I can imagine it being like, folks, feeling very engaged in what was being done.
Yeah, I know KC will agree with me on this. I mean, of the 4 events, that was definitely the most intense event behind the scenes for us.
By far.
I'm sure. It sounds like it.
By a lot.
Yeah, it was by far the most intense. I mean, because like the KFest 2, for example, that was a 2-day event where, it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't a ton of work behind the scenes compared to like Undead Trials 2, where it was a week-long event. And I remember, Jeffrey, I messaged you on Discord that like I had to make the schedule on the fly because basically people would get eliminated, and I had to make the schedule for the next day, like at like 2 a.m. that night. So
it sounded like a freaking nightmare, but you pulled it off, and it was an amazing experience for the people who were participating.
And I had a lot of fun watching it. The Undead Trials 2 was the one that I caught the most of, and so that got my vote.
Yeah, I remember you were there for the championship, and you got to see me perform very badly in the championship.
Well, your performing badly I wish to be able to do what you did in that game every time I play.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. No, I was up against some civic competitions, so shout out again to ML Maris, who got 2nd place, and Fall Down Got Boom, who got 1st. You guys were great competition in that, and you just showed me that, for Undead Trials 3 and 4, I just have to step up my game a little bit more. So
as we all.
Which I guess this is a good spot to talk about the next event, Casey, if you want to do that. So our next event is going to be this month. Undead Trials 3 is coming back to Daybreak this month.
Oh,
that's right. With our, we're going to revamp our old challenges from our Undead Trials 1. You remember our special challenges: behind the wall, front lines, guns hot, of course the melee only, which I think only 2 people still have done that solo. But we're going to change it up a little bit and make it trio squads. We're gonna do some different things, a little bit different things.
Awesome.
Hard mode.
Yeah, we're gonna actually have some 3 or 4 player action for this time. So
close
that
combat only.
last time.
That's right. CQC only.
No one actually attempted that in competition last one because it was too difficult. But the duo winners actually, Sarkoth and Strulus, after they won, as kind of like a gimmick, let's just see how far we can get. They actually got to wave 4 Daybreak with CQC only, so props to them for that.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
So they did die on wave 4, but I mean, they were just trying it out to see it. They got to wave 4, so there's definitely gonna be some specific competition coming
Blaise and KC, I will organize my community and we'll participate in the next Undead Trials, my friend.
Oh,
we'll back that. We'll back it.
Awesome.
I'll promote it in the next games cast coming up throughout the week and next week, and I'll get behind you. I'm totally down with that. That sounds awesome. I unfortunately didn't participate in any of the community events. I got just so, burnt out and just took a step away from community just everywhere, internet in general. But, Undead Trials 3, I'm down. So let's get it. And congratulations for what you've been able to accomplish, your team and just everything. You guys are doing really awesome work for this community as community members. There's very little people like you in this world that care so much about this. And it's crazy. So Blaise, I'm in it with you, man. Let's do it.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. So we look forward to having you. And, we will say again, this will be an event that's open to everyone. The first Undead Trials, it was a closed off event to like invite only because we wanted to test it out. But, Undead Trials 2, we opened it up to everyone. Maybe that's why I got a couple more votes than the rest of them. And Undead Trials 3 will be open to everyone again. So, we'll have signups coming up for that fairly soon. I can announce that it's going to start on January 24th. So 2 weeks from today. And we will, we're probably going to do it as a 5-day event. It just depends on how many people actually sign up, but KC and I have to talk offline about some of the more details before we can release more details. But, basically, the 24th of January, we're coming back to Daybreak. So
just stay tuned to our events Discord. That's going to be the best place.
Well, we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it, definitely.
Awesome. So we look forward to having you in the stream. Brant, you can watch us make some fools of ourselves trying to do that. So
well, and just so you know, I won't be embarrassing myself as a participant, but I will stand by and cheer everyone on.
Well, I'll have to talk to him offline, but I'm hoping I get my partner back in Undead Trials 3. I'm hoping Jurgen can come back as my partner.
I think Jurgen's the only developer from the development team that has been a participant, isn't he? Yeah.
He is.
Well, because Jurgen doesn't care how embarrassed he gets online.
No, in Undead Trials 1, I actually got him his first 4-day break wins. So
nice.
That's right.
He had never won. It was kind of funny too, because we did pretty well he had never won Daybreak before. He didn't have any unlocks yet, and we got him all of the unlocks at the same time. So. But hopefully he's free. We'll have to see if he can come back as my partner, but we'll see what happens. But moving on, we're going to talk about another in-game content category, the best ranged weapon. So coming in at number 3, we had the M4X2 Light SSW at 17.6%. This is actually the one that I voted for. The reason why I like it is because it has a high bullet capacity at 100 in a clip, but it also is lightweight. So that's why I like it personally. I don't know if anyone else wants to comment on it.
No comment on that.
I like all the guns.
Yeah, you can't make Brant choose between his babies.
Same here.
Did you all these ones in this category, Brant? Were you behind all those, or?
You'd have to put up the list again.
Let me get the list for you then.
I mean, this time around, the first game we ended up with 240 guns, and they were all most of them were just visual differences, because I just wanted people to recognize the gun that they knew. And so let's see.
All right, I can list them off for you real
quick.
There
they are.
6 that were in the category. Okay, yep.
I mean,
Arky already posted it.
They're all
perfect. Thanks, Arky.
They're all fun. I think the most reasonable of all of them is that M4X2, just for weight and capacity and things like that. I didn't vote for that because I went with the one that I think the day that I infected Brian, the gun designer, with my insanity, and we came up with the Eternal Guard. But each one is fun.
How?
No, I definitely agree. And I mean, in the nominations show, Emil Maris, who was on here with me, he kind of thinks a lot of the same way I do, and he was making the case for the M4X2 because, it's the most efficient gun, and that's kind of the way that we think in some ways, but it's nice to see, how other players think as well.
I'm excited to see how the crossbow does, since it is newer to the scene. I'm excited to see where that places. I have to go with the Timberwolf because I'm also a sniper guy myself, and I believe that's the 50 cal, or okay, yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a sniper guy. Been a sniper guy since sniping heads and Lifeline. So, yeah, I think that's what I voted for, was the Timberwolf.
Well, since you speak of that, Arky, you can announce we had actually a tie for second. So you can
all right. So in second place comes the Echo X2 repeating crossbow, surprisingly, and with the M99 X1 Timberwolf tied with 22%, 22.1% of the vote.
Yep. And then if you want to announce number 1, too, we can kind of
Absolutely.
talk about it a little bit.
All right, and for number 1, ranged weapon goes to Eternal Guards, 26%.
Infinite range.
Infinite range.
150 rounds before you have to reload.
So your baby there, Brant, your baby did win.
So you might have to unjam the gun before you run.
And repair it.
Yeah. The story behind that is fun. Brian and I were talking about how we wanted to differentiate guns within their own category, like the AK, and so I started looking at real world like magazine stuff, and of course there's the famous drum mags and stuff like that. But then I found some obscure picture of North Korea that had this crazy Helix mag up front. And I just looked at Brian with these big puppy eyes.
I'm seeing this in my head.
And I said, yeah, basically me without words asking him if I can do it. And he just goes, just do it.
I see that whole scene.
Nice.
So,
well, I'm actually curious if you could speak to this one a little bit. It didn't place this highly in the votes, but I've always enjoyed the DevGru Infiltrator, the X12 shotgun, and I really enjoy how that one actually has a scope on it, because I wouldn't really think there'd be a shotgun with a scope. And can you speak to that at all, Brant?
Well, I mean, we wanted to, because we didn't have as many different types of firearms in this one, we really wanted to pick platforms that could reasonably take, mods and things like that. And of course that Sega is great for that. The aftermarket stuff on Segas is insane. And so coupling that with the ability to put different chokes on that shotgun made putting a sort of a short sight on that a reasonable thing. And then to go a little bit crazy and make that, the Plague Heart destroying firearm, we decided to just go to the, damn the torpedoes and go to the wall with something that was just insane. And so that's how we ended up with the DevGru.
That's really cool, because I really love that shotgun. I mean, I didn't vote for it. I voted for the X2, but it's definitely one of my favorite guns is that shotgun.
It certainly, if you're in close range, it certainly clears the room.
With a couple of presses of the trigger. and not much aiming needed.
And Brant, for the winner of the category, how did you come up with the name for the Eternal Guard's Infinite Range?
So
it's Rage.
Rage.
Rage. It should be Infinite Rage.
Infinite Rage.
Yeah, Infinite Range would be a problem.
That's why I was like,
No. So we didn't want to call out North Korea specifically, even though that's the only place I've seen that used. But that came directly from Brian. We were thinking about what to call it, and he wanted to have a nod at North Korea, but not say North Korean, close protection, whatever. So that was Brian. That was all Brian. And when he suggested that, I was like, yeah, just write it up because that's perfect.
That's interesting.
No, I definitely think I made the right choice there too, because especially nowadays, I mean, if you would have called it North Korean gun, then there would have been like a huge backlash about that.
It would have been initialized NK155 or something like that.
Yeah.
But
I voted for the G18. Just wanted to throw that out there because it's the only one we haven't mentioned.
Is that the one vote for the G18?
Yeah, that's probably me.
Let me see. Actually, let me see how many it technically got. Let's see. G18.
That's the gun I was using.
No, the G18 got 11 votes. It actually beat the Infiltrator. The Infiltrator got 5 votes.
I would have guessed the Infiltrator would have beat out the Glock.
I think the Glock might be a lot of people's just sort of favorite in the real world or from other games, and so they brought that favoritism over into State of Decay 2. Because that was my favorite. There was one iteration of Call of Duty where that was my favorite gun. I would run around with a couple of those, I think, because I was insane.
And this one actually had 131 responses, so only 6 people didn't vote for this one.
That gun. I used that gun in my infamous Rage Quit video. That's the gun that got my leader killed. Yeah.
That's why I voted for it. Honestly, my favorite gun, the one that I just cheat myself all the time whenever I'm trying to test something and I want to be super effective, is the RTX Stormbringer. So that wasn't on the list, and so instead I went for like automatic pistols are not actually super effective against zombies, and so I chose the one that felt like the most interesting challenge.
Well, I was facing in my instance, I was facing it was the Saviors basically. I was playing the Sheriff, so the Saviors people came and they I showed up with a Glock and it didn't end well. One of my best doing videos, by the way,
which I'm actually curious.
Honestly, people love to see me rage. I don't know why.
Does anyone else have another pistol they want to call out?
Emotion sells.
Because since Jeffrey mentioned that,
yes,
is
the Rampart
on the list. So
that has become.
You guys want to call it the Rampart? That's a nice one too.
Yeah. the Rampart. That
That one was
one of
actually
that's my
in
one.
one of the
That's
challenges that was
fast
on
and becoming
Twitter
my
where
favorite.
you had
handgun.
to kill a Juggernaut with the Rampart.
Now that's the pistol shotgun, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's a Magnum.
Yep.
It has the
power of a
though,
shotgun.
yeah.
Basically.
Oh,
It's a 44.
Oh, that's right. The it's based on the Desert Eagle.
I
Right?
think that's the what's the name of it? The Vulture is the one that's the Desert Eagle.
Oh, that's
so it's similar.
All right, so perfect timing for Hannibal to jump in because we're actually taking our mid-podcast break. Good God, that is a lot of content. Okay, so I'm here with you guys watching all this for the very first time after experiencing it. So yeah, so let's just get into chat for a little bit, see what you guys are saying, and then we're gonna get back into the podcast, guys. This is a long stream. This is the longest stream we've done in 2019 so far, so that's pretty cool. So let's see what's happening in the Chappenin. Okay, let's see. All right, so we got Hannibal saying, "Hey, sorry I'm late." Well, that is okay, Hannibal. This was a very long stream, so it really didn't matter when you arrived, because we're gonna be here all night, baby. No, we're not gonna be here all night. We're gonna be here until the podcast ends, and once that's ended, I'm gonna go to bed because I got stuff to do in the morning. But yeah, so it's going to be a lovely rest of the stream. But with you guys here with me now, Death Hour is here, talking about, you know, the Hunter Viper Revolver, Rick Grimes style. Hell yeah. All right. So this has been a really, really cool stream. I like this concept where it's like a stream within a stream within a stream, and then you got your boy right here sitting and interjecting every 10 minutes or so. But yeah, so I tried to not interject at all throughout the first half because I really just wanted it to flow well. So with you guys sitting here with me, and I have your ear, let me just say thank you guys for being a part of the community, and thank you for coming to the show. You know, I spend a lot of hours putting everything together, and behind the scenes, none of you see that, so it's hard to communicate how much time and effort is put in by every person within this community to make things like this happen. Something like this, the State of Decay 2 Awards, this is an effort from a lot of people spending a lot of hours doing this. So a super big thanks to the Blaise Xperience again. I can't thank him enough for dedicating so much time to this community. I mean, you only have one life, folks. Dedicate it to what you love, and that's what the Blaise Xperience is doing. He's dedicating time and effort and passion into something he loves, and I commend that because that's what I do. That's what Arky Gamescast is all about. Life isn't good unless you have that. Life isn't its fullest unless you have that passion that you're chasing. Whether it is you know, something on the internet or a day job or, you know, a loved one, a relationship. If you're pursuing it with passion and love and excitement, then you're gonna succeed no matter what. And that's why I back certain community members within this community. I double down on certain people because I see their passion. And so Hannibal came in at a perfect time, and people like Hannibal, and Hannibal, I gave you a nice shout out at the beginning, but people like Hannibal and so many others like Fabian907, Del Z Slayer, Zombient, Mon Prince Cyclope, so many others, Kevin McFarland, Zachary Jimenez, Artificial Soul, DeBomb12, Cot Jockey, Meep Meep, Death Hour. These are the people that have been here for so long in this community on Gamescast. So I want to thank you guys, but a super big thank you for not being a part of my community and my discussion here, but being a part of the overall State of Decay discussion, because I want you guys to know that we were very leading when it came to the discussion and making a positive and forward position when it came to creating a community that is open to critiquing what it loves in a way that is respectful and full of dignity. Because I don't want to sit here and yell at developers for not doing something I don't like. That's not what it's about. It's about, hey, this is awesome. What do I like? What can we do better? That's it at the end of the day. But when people take it to that next level and start taking it to almost hate, that's where it gets a little iffy, and that's kind of where we've been going on the channel, and that's why I'm getting a little scared for what we're going to do in the future, because I don't want us to be negative, and I don't want us to take a negative slant and approach to topics like the Bethesda craze and all that crap. I don't want us to take that negative approach, but I think in some cases that is something you have to do. You have to take a very stern stance with some companies. But for the most part, people are people, and I get that. Oh, why are you kissing butt this whole podcast? That's not what's happening. I'm having a civil conversation with developers, and that's how it works. You cannot approach anybody with that type of negative approach. Now, I do sling some certain questions that I feel are community questions, or like community core questions. And I think they're hard questions, but they're not difficult. They're very sensible questions. And the whole podcast, just everything about this experience was just so awesome. And the people I've met, and the two friends that I will continue to have moving forward, being Casey Keeby in chat right now, and the Blaise Xperience, who was in chat earlier, I will continue to have two friendships out of that podcast, out of this 2+ hour discussion that we're listening to now. I made 2 new friends, added 2 new friends to the list of awesome people I've met doing this with this community, and I've just found that there's no other thing I can talk about that has the weight and the passion and the excitement that this community has, and brings out of me too. So I just want to thank you guys, and I work hard on everything, but it is my honor to do everything I do on this channel. So I get it when you guys say, oh, thank you, Arky, for doing it. I love that. Thank you for thanking me. But at the end of the day, I do it for you. I don't do it because I need you to thank me. I do it because I just want you to be here. I want you to chat. I want to discuss things with you. And that's kind of what Gamescast is becoming, is that type of community discussion and community-driven topics and stuff like that. But State of Decay 2 will always have a place on this channel, and that's why I'm doubling down on everything State of Decay 2 moving forward. But obviously we're going to do other things, but State of Decay 2 is always going to be a mainstay. I didn't want to make it seem like that moving into Gamescast Live doing its first premiere. But with that said, I love you guys, and we're going to continue this podcast, and I'll talk with you more as we go. But we do have to get through this because we're only halfway through. We're at the 1 hour and 20 minute mark. We still have about an hour and some to go. So about an hour and 15, maybe a little bit more. Okay? So with that, if you guys have anything else to say in chat, don't worry, I'm still going to be here. I'm watching it with you. I'll just be in chat. And the more you guys chat, maybe I'll pop back in on audio form. But with that said, let's get back to the podcast. Thank you.
The Vulture is the 45 and the Rampart is the 44 Magnum.
You get enough guns into the game, there's no way to keep track of them.
Well, and it's funny because I always refer to the guns by their file names, and it's not under Rampart.
Yeah.
So
that is another challenge, because once Brian and Andy get to them, the guns all change names, and poor Brant's left without a tag. To
I'll work for 6-7 months with file names, and then they decide on the actual in-game names often after I'm out of the loop, and so I can't identify all of our guns by whatever the name is.
That's kind of funny, actually, because you're probably thinking, oh yeah, remember gun file X3?
Yeah. That was a good gun.
Yeah, that was a great gun.
That was so much fun.
I don't know what it became, but but we're gonna move on to category 10. This is another one that Jeffrey will probably appreciate. Best traits.
Oh, yeah.
So, do you have any guesses, Jeffrey, at which one came out on top here?
It's basically just a list of all the OP things I probably shouldn't have put in the game. So, it's more of a...
I'll read them off to you. It's Unbreakable, Indefatigable, Just Keeps Going, Immortal, High Metabolism, Incredible Immune System, and Never Been Sick.
I'm going to go Immortal just because it's the most tongue-in-cheek weird one, where it's like, it grants you a ton of health and and benefits, and it basically, I don't know, it kind of underscores one of the things that was fun about the traits was that the title of the trait is always is always sort of a more tongue-in-cheek way to approach it, and then the text of the trait is a more kind of earnest. The person is explaining what this attribute of them is, and so you see immortal, and you're like, what? What are you talking about? This person is obviously not. Am I playing Highlander, the video game? What's going on? And then you read it, and they're like, oh no, they just feel like they can't die. They just have this like overconfidence, and so that's my favorite one. I don't know what people chose.
And it's interesting you mentioned the text too, because before we get into the results, something going, unless you actually look into the meta of the game and look at what that does, you probably wouldn't read that and think just keeps going. That's an OP trait. You wouldn't know that just from reading it.
I'm trying to fly under the radar a bit.
Yes. All right. We'll get into it. Number 4 was actually Incredible Immune System with 11.4%. So that was our number 4. And then I will let Sizzle read off the rest. If you want to do that, Sizzle.
Number 3, we've got Just Keep Going,
there's number
13.6%. Number 2, at 21.2%, Unbreakable, which was a good movie, by the way.
And then
it does, and I cannot wait for that.
It's got a sequel.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Number 1 at the top of the list at 31.8% of the votes is Immortality, or Immortal, actually.
Jeffrey, you were right.
I'd like to thank the Academy for
yeah, Jeffrey, your vote actually counted 100 times for that one. So
yeah, I argued with him about that.
So you had 100 of the 130 votes. So yeah, it's definitely interesting though, because I think that one actually got a little bit of extra credit from maybe people just reading the name, because even if you just read the name, that's the one that sounds the coolest.
Yeah, like what? There's a trait like that? Wait, I want that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I can't even pronounce
Indefatigable. That one is a Horatio Hornblower reference.
I can't even pronounce it, so I didn't vote for that one.
That's the name of Horatio Hornblower's ship. So I didn't know that word either until my mother became obsessed with that show and made me watch all the episodes of it. So.
Yeah, because again, like my vote, I voted for Just Keeps Going because I vote on an analytical base, and Just Keeps Going is so powerful because it gives you a lot of extra stamina, not extra stamina, but gives you a lot of fatigue resistance. So basically, you get fatigued a lot less often, and I really love that. So that's pretty much what I had to vote for.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, I'm impressed you were able to come up with nominations out of 1,300 traits. So.
Yeah, I haven't even done a trait podcast yet.
Like a 3-day podcast.
I'll probably be on that trait podcast.
That'll be
I'm still trying to figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 7 hours straight
with the traits. So when you guys were developing, you said earlier that these are like all the OP traits. What's one OP trait that you guys didn't use?
I think one of the problems with the game is that there probably aren't any. We used all of the OP traits.
That's a good answer.
I can't think of one in particular. I mean, a lot of the traits that we had to decide not to do or to change were ones that applied negatives to the player. Partly because we did this whole pass through a lot of the more negative traits that could be granted to you when you took a follower out in a car. We didn't make them all completely 100% positive or neutral, but we had to definitely take down a lot of the negatives, just because it turns out people were avoiding bringing followers with them because they were afraid their followers would be ruined by a negative trait. But for me, I actually love having negative traits in my character, and it's kind of a taste thing, the kind of experience you want to have. But it has sort of the fact that people are so allergic to negative traits and feel like a character is worthless if they have a single bit of red text in their trait block. It's made us sort of think about, well, how do we want to approach the next game? How do we want to sort of take the fact that people have this really strong reaction to it, rejecting entire characters on the basis of a single negative trait. If that's how people play, what system should we create for those people to give them the best experience? And so maybe the best experience will be, yay, there's no negative traits in the game anymore. Or maybe the best experience is every character has a negative trait. And so now, rejecting a character doesn't matter. The next character is also going to have one. Or maybe there's some third solution, but it really has made us think, watching people, the reactions to the traits, the fact that their favorites are all the completely OP ones, and that the negative ones get such a bad rap.
I'm actually curious, since you mentioned that, Jeffrey. Since patch 6.0, have you had a lot of feedback, good or bad, on the new changes to the Red Talon characters?
So I haven't seen a ton. I think we tried really hard to make it as palatable as possible. This is one of the few changes we made to the game where we actually went to the community very early on in the process and asked people a lot of questions.
Yeah, because I think they work pretty good. I'm just curious if you had a lot of negative feedback from some people or anything. Or
that isn't really. I haven't been hearing much about it one way or the other. I think a part of it is the low attach rate of Daybreak. The fact that a lot of the people who are active, say on our Facebook page and stuff, aren't huge Daybreak players. But yeah, that was I think it kind of went over pretty well, and I think it sort of reinforced to me that talking to the community and getting people's feedback early on is actually a pretty good strategy.
I definitely love that too, and I love how you guys actually do care about what the community thinks. There's a lot of games and game developers out there that they probably would never say they don't care what the community thinks, but they don't really show that. So,
well, it's hard. It takes a lot of energy, and it can sometimes throw you for a loop. People will sometimes have surprising reactions to things that you weren't prepared for, and sometimes just avoiding that pain, it can be almost a reflexive thing. But one thing I was taught in film school was that they told me that a movie is made, I think, 4 times. Once when it's written, once when it's shot, once when it's edited, and then once when it's watched. And the first 3 made sense, but the 4th one was a big surprise to me, realizing that, of course, each person who watches a movie has a different experience because of what they bring to the table.
That makes sense, actually,
similarly, our game is not real until somebody's playing it. And so we can make what we think we're making, but really we don't know what we've made until we see people play it. And then that's when the real game shows up. And sometimes it'll surprise us. And so listening to the community and finding out how people actually play the thing we play, that's how we even understand.
I want to speak to something towards the negative trait idea. I love that's really cool, the negative traits. Because I preach it on my stream. No one's perfect, and that's a real life nomer that players and individuals need to know. That when you're accepting someone into your community, we want them, of course, what they add to the community, but not one human being on this planet is absolutely perfect. And if you guys follow my lore, my character, who I base my entire story around, my red leaders, the very first red leader had the worst negative trait, and he's still the linchpin in my entire lore. The red leader, he couldn't get 33% minus health, and he couldn't get past that because he got migraines. He had migraines growing up, and he's still the linchpin of my entire thing. So it just goes to make that point. No one's perfect, but everyone's valuable. So I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fundamental to State of Decay that we didn't have the perfect character, right? It's absolutely one of our linchpin. I mean, we absolutely built the game on the idea that in a situation like this, at least in our vision of it, you're going to have to make the best you can with what you got, and not everyone is going to be an ex-Special Forces super soldier.
And in real life, each of those guys has got weaknesses of their own. It's like
there's no Clark Kent
superhero. There's no such thing. Everybody's got downsides, and that's when you're trying to make a studio work, when you're trying to make a group of friends work, when you're trying to make a family work, like every single one of those, with each individual, you got to take the good with the bad, and each person tries to make their bad as tolerable as they can, and each of us tries to make as much room for each other as we can, and sometimes we get into conflicts, but you always, that's just always the fundamental challenge of getting any group of people together is how do you deal with all the bad traits?
And
yours, everyone else.
To summarize it, I think it's what makes a good role-playing game is you're assuming a role, and when you assume a role, you're going to have to take the negatives and bad. And when we look back at the D&D era, when that exploded, it was all about the negative traits and negative things that would happen to your group that made the story better. And I think KC was kind of reflecting that, where he was saying his leader had that negative effect, and that negative effect made him feel like his character was... He was actually assuming that role because he saw that this is a flawed character, and every story needs a flaw. It needs something to redeem it. And I think that's why it works. And that's why negative traits work in all role-playing games, from RTS to third-person games like this. And I think that... I think the negative trait discussion within any game, I bet that is the hardest thing to workshop as a developer. How do we How do we do? I couldn't even.
How do we get people to
Exactly.
accept negatives, right? Because some people do, they come to games to
Right.
escape the negativity of the world, right? And so I imagine, I understand wanting not to have negative traits on your characters, like wanting to have one place in your life where you don't have to deal with all these freaking jerks
Exactly.
all the time. But like for example, like one of I'm sorry to keep this going, but we should probably get on the next category soon. But the one of my probably my favorite negative trait in the game is one lung. Which is one of the most crippling possible traits. Like your stamina meter, I think, is cut in half or close to that. It's kind of ridiculous. But the reason I put that in the game was because around the time that I was working on the traits, my best friend from high school had a son who had to have one of his lungs removed. And so part of me putting that trait in the game was expressing, hope that, that this child who was going to go through a really difficult operation was going to have a perfectly normal life and be a valuable member of their community. And you know what? That kid is doing great right now. He's doing awesome. And I just love seeing that trait in the game and seeing these adult characters surviving the zombie apocalypse with this trait that this kid has, and showing, you can have all kinds of problems and you can still just kick ass in your life.
Yeah, I mean, there's a character I had in my community for a while that had the old and tired trait, and that trait is a trait that like knocks down his I believe it was his cardio. I think he couldn't max his cardio all the way.
Probably, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, were you thinking of me when you came up with that trait?
How come you didn't let me make that joke first, Brant?
But I do like how there's traits like that where you can't actually specialize in a certain thing because the character just isn't able to do well enough at that particular trait.
But usually we let them have at least a few stars, right? You still can accomplish something, even if it takes you some time.
I think this particular character's name was Alfred. I think he could get up to 5 stars. So he could get up to 5 stars at cardio, but he couldn't get past that.
Alfred makes sense for old and tired because both of those are dependent on the old, the old stat, both the name Alfred and being old and tired.
He was a doctor though, so I kept him for a while. He was a doctor. I'm like, hey, you're a doctor. You can say.
Oh, you know what? That's exactly the decision I made with my young lady who can only get 3 stars in fighting because of I forget the reason, but she can only get 3 stars. I made her my medic, and she doesn't leave the base all too often.
Oh, no, that makes sense. Anyway,
so
sorry for the giant digression, but.
Well, next we do have a big category. So
the thing is, this wouldn't be an award show if it didn't run out. So.
Exactly. It's supposed to be that way.
What we need next time is an orchestra to start playing us off.
Right. The timer.
Too long.
Yes. You just have to get a third dev with you. One of the sound engineers.
Yeah, exactly. We get Kevin in here to start playing some music for us.
Yes, exactly. But our next category is a big one. We have Streamer of the Year. So we're going to talk about Streamer of the Year, and we'll give a shout out to all 7 nominees in this category. We have Fall Down Go Boom, Rabbit, Fallout Girl, P1 Gamer, Sarkoth, Mr. Darts Broadcast, and K Sizzle, who's here with us today. So major shout out to all of you guys. You definitely did a lot for the game this year. All these people in this category streamed a lot of the game this year, and they did a great job doing so. So I want to give a shout out to all of you. You're all great streamers, and thank you for what you've done for the community. So props to you guys.
Absolutely.
This was the toughest thing for me to vote on because everyone on this list, and everyone who's streamed our game, but this list really sort of personifies some of the people who have supported us the most, and I just have nothing but love for everyone who's taken the time to broadcast our game. These people are really special, and it was a very difficult vote to make, for sure.
Yeah, and I'll say too that for making the nomination ballot, this was the hardest category for me to decide on because, as Brant said, there's so many great streamers out there that stream the game, and it was really, really hard to cut this list of 7. I'll give some props to KC, Maris, and Sarkoth. They did a lot of work in the entire nomination process to help me curate some of these nominees. So not just this category, but the entire 16 categories. those three people did a lot of work behind the scenes, kind of helping me decide, well, should we have this category? Should we have this nominee in that category? So, like, for example, the explosive category, you can thank Sarkov for that one, because Sarkov's the one that thought of having an explosive category. So, just for example there. But, you know, props to you guys for that as well. But we can kind of get into the results here. So, we actually had a tie at number 4. So, Arky, if you don't mind, since you're in the content creator category, I'm going to use you to read these results.
Jeff and Brent.
So, for number 4, we have a tie, and Arky, if you want to announce our tie here at number 4.
So, for number 4, we have K Sizzle, NP1 Gamer, tying in at 12.1%.
Yep, you guys tied. So
awesome, congratulations!
Direct tie, you know. Great job, guys. You know,
it's been a fun
great year, and major props.
More to come. Yep.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
and a major shout out to KC for, you know, really keeping the community tight on multiple platforms. And, you know, I just recently met KC just, you know, through some Twitter feeds and stuff. And I'm growing to love this guy. He is so genuinely nice. And he brings such an energetic vibe to this, and I really enjoy Casey. So congratulations for being a nominee, and you're a winner. Whether you got 4th or 1st, it doesn't matter. On this list, every single item, every single thing in this are winners. And you know, being recognized is the win. That's the win.
Yep. Big thanks to both you, K-Sizzle, MP1, and everyone else. You guys are keeping this thing alive. I mean, you know, we released before things like Red Dead and stuff like that. So a lot of people have moved away, but you guys keep the dream alive for us. And
well, I love the game,
and
it's just before State of Decay 2 came out, State of Decay 1 had a very big place in my life. I mean, I would just. It was therapy for me. It was fun for me. It filled a lot of gaps, lifeline, and just playing the game and sniping. And you know, it's like a second nature now that 2 is out, just to be involved in all these things and have someone now, other people to share the experience with. That's, you know, you guys thought adding co-op to it was just adding it to the game. You guys added co-op to my life. So I appreciate you guys, the developers, for keeping this game coming.
Well, we can't. Oh, go ahead. We can't wait for the middle of this year when you guys get a chance to see what else we've been.
We can't wait. We can't wait.
I'm all giddy. Yes,
I'll be there. Trust me. And I do want to say too, I meant to say it when we talked about Rookie of the Year, but I want to make a point to note that everyone in these categories for like the people in the community, everyone got votes. So even if you didn't make like the top 4 that we're announcing, you did get votes. So you know, with people that aren't announced here, you definitely got votes. So there's no one that didn't get votes. So I just want to make that clear. But Jeffrey, if you want to announce number 3, I put number 3 in the chat for you.
3 is Fall Down Go Boom with 16.2%.
So congrats, Fall Down. You know, he had a great year. I know he was on the Undead Labs stream as a guest.
He was
as well.
a lot of fun to have on here. Yeah,
absolutely. He does a lot of challenges all the time that make the game crazy for him. He institutes all these rules, and his streams are definitely a lot of fun too. So
I don't know how he keeps track of it all, honestly. Like, you know, maintaining his chat, paying attention to what they tell him, playing by his own crazy rules. Like it takes a lot of mental energy that I can't even I can't work up over here.
Yeah, he sort of we became aware of him fairly recently, and just huge entertainment value. Just watching him play. In that stream where he was on with us, I tried to, you know, I played with the same rules that he was playing with.
What was that?
I honestly don't know how he does it. It's, I'm so used to, you know, we played no HUD, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to sit over here and be zombie bait while somebody else deals with the problems. Cause I was like, and I think I had, a crossbow, trying to shoot that with no HUD was ridiculous. And so, yeah, just watching him deal with some of the absolute evil ideas that his community comes up with.
Yeah, I mean, just last night, actually, I was on my lunch break at work, and he was streaming, and it was at a point where they got to a new rule. I suggested a new rule for his community that won the vote, and a new rule he had to use last night was having no infirmary in his base. So he wasn't allowed to have infirmary at all in his base. So
yeah, I mean,
he does random things like that, too.
Things like if he gets bit, his character, he has to kill his character.
Die. Yeah.
Come on.
The guy's a beast.
And the craziest one that I always reference, like, he actually played with the controller upside down. Like, I don't even know how you attempt that. I would never even sign myself up for that. Like, I don't know how you feel, Arky, but, like, I would never even try that. No, I'm good. I'm not trying that.
Well, imagine trying it with a mouse backwards.
The guy's a beast. He's actually an elite player. I mean, you can just think getting through some of those challenges and stuff. He's a really It's telling that he's won both of our tournaments. So.
Wow. Yeah. Next year,
it is. So
next year for the awards, put a category as like most talented or most skilled player, and maybe like they can like submit videos of some of the craziest things that people can come up with, like playing with an upside down controller, like.
And I'm glad you said that too, because that is a category I thought about having for next year when we have a full calendar year of events. I thought of a category maybe like best competitor, so out of like, say like, oh, there were 6 Undead Trials this year, who was the best competitor out of all of them? That could be a fun award possibly.
That would be awesome.
But I will allow Brant to announce number 2 and number 1. So number 2 is in the chat for you, and number 1 I'll type out right now.
Well, with 19.2% of the vote, a good friend of mine, Mr. Dart, in Mr. Dart's broadcast, in the same vein as Fall Down and the rest of you, top streamers, you guys found that magic. And Mr. Dart's great because he has this dreamy voice too, right? But
he does.
Just the ability to talk about what you're doing and things. You talk about things that are deeper than just what's happening on screen, right? And Mr. Dart's great at that. It's actually one of the things that kept me coming back to his stream is that he looks at what's happening and he's able to keep up with chat, which I don't know how you guys do. I don't know how any of you guys do it.
Yeah, I am a disaster at it. I try to do my own personal stream and like, I'll play for 15 minutes and then look and say, oh, look, there's been a bunch of comments.
Yeah, but Mr. Dart's he's got that magic sauce that allows him to play the game in a way that's fun, to talk about it, and to engage with his community while he's doing it. And I honestly am in awe of all of your abilities to do that. It's just amazing. And then number 1, very close to my heart, a very dear friend. So I am completely biased and glad that this is the result. Fallout Girl with 26% of the vote. She has been such a friend to the studio and has, I swear, sold more copies than GameStop.
Blame Brant.
Congrats, Fallout Girl.
Yeah,
definitely well deserved.
You have to have some thick skin going into her streams, but it's I can't emphasize enough how important she's been to our game and this community, and how she has been a supporter for a very long time. I got to meet her a couple times when I go to the PAX shows, and it's just like having an old friend, running into an old friend. She's been great. So I feel like our community is lucky to have people like her and people like you guys who are coming up with the different trials and things like that. It just keeps our legs under us.
Snuggles.
So congrats,
Fallout. That is my boo right there. I'm happy.
Super
for
Snuggles.
the top 2. My Snuggles, my Shorty, Fallout Girl. Everyone know I love her. and B-Fam. Everyone probably wonder why I call him B-Fam. We call each other B-Fam, BFAM, brother from another mother. We have so much in common. I think of us like the the movie Money Train, Wesley Snipes and and the other guy. I can't think of his name, but that would be me and Dart.
So, oh man, Money Train. I got a special place in my heart for that because it has got some of the weirdest back of the box, like the VHS that you could rent at Blockbuster when I was in college. Had some of the weirdest back in the box text. I think it ended with the phrase "tunnel of fun."
That's a seller. That sells.
Sorry, no one brings up Money Train anymore. I just had to riff on that. You guys go ahead.
If I can make a comment on just how diverse the community is also, and for Fallout Girl to take the #1 streamer for 2018 for SOD2 is just, it shows how this community, really, there's no barriers. Once you say I love SOD, that's the end of the discussion. Nice. Let's learn more about you. Let's get to know you. Who cares what color you are? Who cares what gender you are? Who cares about any of that? You love this? Oh, well, then I probably have 5 other things you love that I love as well. So let's talk. And, I've built friendships from this community. That's why I say this community changed my life, because it has. It helped me meet people I would have never met, and I'm so happy that I've met the people I've met through this community. And so for Fallout Girl to win Streamer of the Year it just shows how diverse, and that's one thing I've said from like episode 1 of my series was this community is diverse. And at the end of the day, because comments can get a little racy, and at the end of the day, I always wanted to push for diversity and push for inclusion and push for equality and just all that. But within this community, I didn't really have to. It pretty much self-regulates itself, and it's awesome.
No, exactly. And kind of like you're saying there, the only thing I don't really love is when people don't love each other. And that's basically it for me. Like, as long as you love the rest of the community, then that's awesome. And, I'll be happy to support anyone that wants to support the other community members, because this community is amazing, and I just love supporting everyone in it.
Yeah, there's been some friction in the communities lately, and it makes me really sad, because one of the things that was so great about, and still is, about the SOD community as a whole is that we are supportive of each other, and we have, everyone for the most part is mutually supportive, and it's great. Like, I've been watching, for instance, Fallout Girl for a long time, and I met some of you by you guys visiting her, and then it just takes off from there. So it's just been, I still have high hopes that our community can sort of heal whatever small frictions there are. And again, I will stand behind anyone in this community who is positive and constructive. And I will.
And I'm one of the more vocal out there in these situations, and it's. I get very, very vocal when there's division, when there's someone being divisive, and it's just that makes me sad, and it makes me vocal. It makes me speak against it.
Well, that's how I met you.
We should talk. We should get a forum together and talk about ways that we can try and head off any sort of frictions in the future as a community initiative. So maybe we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so moving on, we're going to talk about category number 12 now. This is going to be the favorite home base, and this one was actually a very, very close vote between first and second place. There was only 1 vote separating first and second. So once again, it was super close. So I'll announce the 4th and 3rd, and then we can kind of get into the ones that were pretty close. So 4th place was Lock and Key Self-Storage with 10.4%. This is a base that I really love a lot. I just love the look of that base. I love the style of it, and I love the elaborate storage it provides. So that would be my choice. It got number 4, so at least it wasn't last place this time. So
that was my choice as well.
I know it was definitely one of Brian's favorites to work on, because there's so many just weird little ideas hidden in there.
I'm kind of curious, actually, if you know, since we're on it real quick. Do you know how the idea with elaborate storage was come up with? Because that's a really cool feature that's only available in that base.
I would have to pass that one to Brian to give you the details.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Well, but
yeah, it's really cool though.
I do know that because it's a storage unit, we wanted to beef that up a little bit.
Right, makes sense. Yeah. But number 3 is another one that a lot of people I know talk about. the Squalones Brewing Company with 12.6% of the votes.
Good old Squalones.
I don't think I've ever resided there.
You should try it, especially as a trader. If you're not a trader leader, it's probably not going to be your favorite. But if you're the trader leader, you can make so much whiskey there to trade to other people. So you should definitely try it. So that's what I use it for when I trade there.
Yeah, it was problematic for a lot of people because one, it's great because it's central, but two, there seemed to be, for some reason, a lot of zombies that just happened to wander into, the base a lot.
Well, what I like about it too is it has that, which, correct me if I'm wrong, if one of you guys knows, but I think it might be one of, or the only clearable large slot in the game, the keg cooperage. And it's really cool that you actually have a clearable large slot, but it basically acts as a staging area, and that's why I always leave it, because I figure I want the staging area anyway, so if I want the staging area anyways, I might as well leave the one that looks better.
Yeah, there was Brian did a lot of work to try and make each base have its own sort of hook, and that was definitely one of those things for that base.
Yeah, so that was 3 and 4. I'm sure someone here can guess what the top 2 are. Sizzle, do you want to offer a guess?
Sure. Number 2 probably came in. I'm gonna say the strip mall probably came in number 2, over or under the container fort.
Well, I will say those were the top 2. So, Arky, do you want to say what you think the order was out of the 2?
I think he had it correct. I think the container fort got number 1 because that's what I voted for. But yeah, I'm going to go container fort.
All right. So the results are number 2 is actually container fort, 24.4%.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow.
So the abandoned strip mall wins with 25.2%. But remember, it won by 1 vote. So one single vote is that one. So one solitary vote. The abandoned strip mall is technically the winner. Favorite home base.
So what you're telling me is my 1 vote for container fort meant nothing.
Well, it made it a little bit closer, at least.
It made it a little closer.
You created that tight spread between them.
Yeah.
Exactly. If it makes you feel better.
And that lets me know that there were some sensible votes because I picked that order because I was thinking popularity contest, but I would put the strip mall as number 1. I like it more than the container
Well, yeah,
fort.
and Sarkoth, who was on the nomination, so he thought it was actually going to be a landslide for the container fort. So he'll be surprised to learn that it wasn't a landslide at all. It was very close between those 2.
Also, as an aside, the container fort was the biggest pain in the ass to make work.
Was it?
Well, if I can say, I think we could tell when you guys showcased that first base with the container fort. We could tell that you guys are pretty excited about showing that. So I'm guessing that probably came from the struggle of actually creating it. You guys just really wanted to show that one off. Be like, this is what we got for you guys. Look at this.
It's funny. We that was one of the earliest ideas for a large base was just this big, because it just naturally worked. But the problems came structurally because every other base has a building you can tie it to, like a building model that we can then build around. The container fort was just thrown together by one of our level guys, and we decided to try and make that work. And without like this explicit model, the way our systems work for bases kind of needed that to work fluidly. And so some of the problems that still persist that I don't think we can ever solve are like when you walk into the container fort the first time and you know how it zooms in and tries to give you the rooms that you need to clear. You're never going to get the full readout on that because of some of the limitations of our systems.
Wow.
Makes sense.
Interesting.
And I do hope that, if there is ever a balance pass, that at some point the passive beds that the container fort gives, I hope that's eliminated because that just makes it a little bit too OP in my opinion. So hopefully it's limited at some point. But
I don't know if we want to weather the torches and pitchforks that would come after us if we did something
that is
true.
Yeah,
but that's kind of why I don't play there that much anymore because for me, like, I want a little bit more of a challenge in that, and it seems like it's a little bit too easy to stay there now for me, so I try to stay somewhere else besides that now.
Same here. I've only had one community in all of 6 months that has stayed at the container fort, and that was just recently. They're still there.
Well, congratulations, Strip Mall.
Yes. Strip mall takes it.
Yes.
Even with that Taekwondo gym, I don't like Jeffrey.
Oh, that's Brian's fault.
You got a lot of fitness
Yeah,
facilities.
we talked about it before, yeah.
Yeah. But hey, it's still a good base. It still took the number one. So congrats to Abandoned Strip Mall.
Great location, too. The strip
Absolutely.
mall right there at the top of the map.
Was it
You
also
get to
your
a lot
number
of
one
things.
when you did your ranking, Blaise?
No, it was not.
Okay, I couldn't
number
remember.
one for me for that map was Mike's Concrete.
That's what it
number
was,
one
yeah.
on that map.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think the strip mall was number 3. I think I had Mike's Concrete, and then I think I had the Family Drive-In, and then strip mall.
That makes sense.
And our 13th.
We're going to talk about the favorite
Category.
vehicle now, and this was actually a pretty close category. I know that a car that is a popular car with a lot of people actually got 5th out of the 5, and that's the Zbuster or Norma. Actually got 5th place. So.
Oh, wow.
Well,
I think that's what I voted.
I voted for the dog then.
Yeah, so 16.
We don't have a rideable dog, do we? Oh, I know what you mean. Never mind.
So, just as an aside, I didn't see the Brogan Trekker in there anywhere, and that would have gotten my instant vote simply because it's named after my son. But
Yeah.
Oh,
That makes
Easter
sense.
egg.
That's an easy vote to cast.
Yeah,
That's
that would've made
that's-
sense well, but-
I love hearing like all these little like things you guys put in that none of us know. Like that's just so interesting.
yeah.
For your guys' next game, may it be State of Decay 3? I don't know. Putting it out there, I don't know. Who knows? It could be. I don't know. But going into that, try to get a documentary team in there to really document what you guys are doing because I want to watch that. I want to see how that all unfolds.
We've got folks here at the studio who are filmmakers and who are interested in documenting that kind of thing.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Oh, you have fans that will eat up
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of content for
No,
sure.
like for example, I really love that
For
stream you
sure.
guys did where you talked about all the achievements.
And,
That was really
where
cool,
the names
actually.
came from. Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got
With
some
Doug.
upcoming achievements that I'm just in the process of entering. That I didn't come up with this set, but I'm pretty impressed by the names that other folks came up with.
Awesome.
Oh, that'd be great. Can we please get a solo melee on Daybreak achievement?
No,
Not just till wave 5, but the
well,
entire
that's
Daybreak
actually
tutorial.
that's actually one of the things.
If
Like
only
if an achievement
if only
is
two
too rare,
people
then,
can do it, then-
people get too frustrated
Yeah.
by not having 1,000 points. So you gotta kind of balance them out a little bit.
Yeah, see that achievement it might not work,
The
KC, because if only 2
frustrations.
people can actually handle it, you and Dart, then it's not going to be that good.
Hey, they can always dream.
One rule we are sticking to though is making sure that all of them are divisible by 5, because all their values. Because I played a game recently that all their achievements were worth 18 points, and it worked because I literally had to keep playing it until I got 5 of them, so that I could have an even number of achievements again, and then I had
Yeah.
to quit because I would not let them touch
Jeez.
my perfect achievement score.
That's funny, actually.
Hey, it's management. That's what the game's about. How to properly manage everything.
But moving on, number 4 in the favorite vehicle category is actually the one that Jeffrey voted for, the Road Mangler, with 16.9%.
Yay!
So that was number 4. Anybody have any guesses of what number 3 is?
Smash Wagon.
Well, that wasn't one of the options.
Oh,
So-
I'm gonna go the big boss.
I thought I'd throw somebody off.
All right. Well, I will let Arky announce this one. It's actually not the big boss. That is number 3 right there.
All right. So number 3 is Vandito at 18.5%.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And then number 1 and number 2 was between the big boss and the Burninator. And the winner only won by 1 vote once again. So very close. 1
Wow.
vote decided this. So
I'm betting Burninator for the
two?
winner.
Yeah, I'll go with
Okay,
that one as well.
okay.
all right. So I will let Arky announce this one again. So there is your number 2.
All right. So in number 2 comes the big boss at 23.8% of the vote. And at number 1 is the Burninator at 24.6%.
And that's actually what I voted for too. So maybe I was the 1 vote.
Best thing to come out of the
I love
Independence
that
Day
Burninator.
pack. One of the
That's
best.
It was a lot of fun.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, I have a funny story. I IRL in real life, I pulled into a gas station and there was a truck that was almost identical to the Burninator. It was a white pickup truck and it had the stars and stripes painted on it with an eagle.
Did you keep your distance?
And I took a picture.
Was it completely like the Burninator?
I didn't. I had a conversation with the owner and he let me take a picture and everything.
Awesome.
It was a good evening. Yep. I told him about the game. I think he went and picked it up.
We always appreciate when you get people to buy our game.
Oh, yes.
Well, hey, that works. You know, that's one way to get people to buy the game, right? So.
Yeah, your car is totally in a game.
Yep.
Yeah, you should buy it so you can see it.
And then we get sued, and you know. Thanks, K Sizzle.
Just completely backfired on me.
But there's only 3 categories left. We have Community Member of the Year, Content Creator of the Year, and Best Melee Weapon. And we're going to go next with Content Creator of the Year, which Arky and myself are both up for. So we're going to need some help from Sizzle, Brant, and Jeffrey to announce these, because we probably shouldn't announce them ourselves. So.
All right, I think Sizzle should do it. Sizzle's the best at that.
Yep.
Thanks, Sizzle. Well, let's go.
All right.
Up next are content creators, which mean they create content on other platforms other than streaming, like YouTube or podcasts.
So our 7 nominees that we had were Jersey-O, which is a YouTube creator, ML Maris, another YouTuber, Mr. Stainless, another YouTuber, A-Squad Gaming, YouTuber, The Mighty Game Channel from YouTube, my Blaise Xperience podcast, and then also Arky Gamescast from YouTube. So basically 6 YouTubers and then the Blaise Xperience podcast.
Yay.
So.
Delicious content.
Yeah, and
unique
and
in his
all
field.
the nominees on this category, I know pretty much all of them, and I've talked to all of them as well. And these guys did great work, especially the early days, going in before release. Really keeping the community kind of tight on the YouTube sphere, kind of keeping them informed, because not one channel could take on the community at once. It kind of had to get divided into all these different channels, and each channel brought a certain focus and certain way of discussing the game, and I think that gave the community almost just it gave the simple community, the community that just goes on YouTube and types in State of Decay 2 to find out information about the title that's upcoming. These nominees are the people that kept those people sufficed and up to date with what was going on, and you know, really kind of laid the mark for how diverse and how opinionated this community can be, but how also mature and structured it can be. I mean, just putting something like this together shows how structured facets of this community are, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to most of these people myself as well. They're all great content creators. The only one I've never talked to on a personal level is Jersey-O, so I don't know, Arky, if you can talk more about him, but I haven't talked about him on a personal level. But
So Jersey-O was early on a creator. He came, as the game was approaching release, he came out and started to do, you know, a lot of updates, and then he really took over the giving people information on updates. So, like, basically every single patch and every single note within that patch, Jersey-O was the guy to go to after the launch. Because many other channels, you know, were coverage channels, so we're going from passion to passion. So Jersey-O was the one that stayed and really continued to thrive in giving the community info on each patch and updating the community throughout. But on a personal level, I have not spoken with Jersey-O
you have neither?
yet.
Okay.
I have not. I have made communication through DM and stuff like that, but nothing out of, you know, saying what's up and, you know, happy to meet you. But yeah, so Jersey-O.
Yeah, because I've watched his videos too and stuff, and he's definitely, I would say, out of this list, he's probably the more humorous one out of all of us. You know, he definitely has more of a humorous style to him, I think, than all of us.
Yeah.
The rest of us are all like, you know, content and
very
we're
charismatic,
not as funny as he is, I would say. So.
Right.
animated. He is very animated.
So, guys, I'm gonna have to be a stick in the mud and say we got to hurry up because Jeffrey and I both have meetings to go to in not too long. Sorry to be the jerk.
No, thank you for putting the time.
We're happy you're here just for now. So don't worry about it.
So our number 4 content creator, since we're starting at 4. 4 and 3.
All right, so number 4, I will announce. Actually, I won't announce. I'll have Sizzle announce that one.
All right. Coming in at number 4, content creator of the year in our first annual State of Decay Awards, we have Arky, AGC.
Congrats, Arky.
Congrats, my friend.
Thank you.
And as he mentioned earlier, we just met, and he's an absolutely awesome dude. All around, if you've been listening to this podcast, you hear it in his voice. The guy's knowledgeable about the game. He's passionate about it, and he's just an all around great guy. Fair and honest.
And if you want to keep going, Sizzle, you can announce the rest of them.
Well, Arky, speech.
So from day one, it was just such an honor to be a part of the community and be able to, partake in what was the release and what is now the game, and just be a part of that overall discussion on my platform and on other platforms. And I'm happy to be nominated, and that is the win at the end of the day, is just getting the nomination, being recognized for the coverage series and what we were able to do. So thank you, Blaise, and thank you to the community for voting, and thanks to UL for giving such efforts to this community, that even just showing up to an award show is something that is unheard of, and I've never seen it before. And I'm so happy I'm even here talking with the developers that, created a game that really had an impact on my life. So I'm just really happy about this. So thank you.
Well, I will say there's one thing that's a disappointment about all of this, and that Jeffrey and I both put on our best gowns for the night thinking there was a red carpet.
We want pictures in the Discord, please, or it didn't happen.
Well, I'm sorry we didn't have red carpet. That's next year. We're working on that for next year.
Well, we would have pulled out the red carpet for number 3, which we just did a little discussion on. Jersey-O coming in with 13.5% of the vote.
Yeah, so great job, Jersey-O.
Jersey-O.
Way to go. Thank you.
Shout out to you. Yeah, we're going to watch some of your videos today. Number 2, we have our very own Blaise Xperience and his podcast, which if you guys aren't listening to, you're missing out on life. You don't know the game if you haven't listened to at least 3 podcasts, especially that one on the melee weapons.
The Blaise Xperience podcast, I listen to it all the time. It's how I keep up with what's going on in my own game. So
there you go.
There you go. A developer keeps up with the game he develops by listening to Blaise's podcast. What better shout out can you get than that? Huh? And then number 1, we got coming in at number 1, content creator of the year in our first State of Decay Awards is A Squad Gaming, which is ASQD Gaming with 31% of the vote.
So congrats, A Squad. Good job.
He's got some great videos.
Thank you to everyone,
congrats,
all you content creators, for your support and extending this game into places we never even dreamed of. So
yeah. And also, since we're on this category, I want to make a shout out to whoever's listening to the podcast. There are some original State of Decay content creators who are mostly on YouTube that I just want to shout out to those guys and say, hey, we're waiting for you guys to come on and help us create more content going forward.
We owe so, because we didn't have a dime for promotion in the first game, we truly owe so much of our existence to that original crew, and we'll never, ever forget the contributions they made to State of Decay.
There it is.
So thank you, everyone.
All right, and our 15th category coming in on our last 2 categories here.
15th category, we're going to talk about Community Member of the Year. So, Brant, if you want to do the honors and announce for this one.
Sure.
So, we have 4 members for this one. We have myself, Mr. Darts, Septic Aussie, and K Sizzle. And
oh wow,
yeah, you're a brother too. I thought you knew. But... And real quick, for anyone that doesn't know, we already talked about myself, Dart, and Sizzle. Septic Aussie is a person in the community that we thought should be up for this award because he is someone that really supports everyone in the community. He is someone that is in every stream. He supports every streamer. He's always helpful in the community, and he just does a really great all-around job supporting all of us. So we thought he should be up for this.
Awesome.
So thank you, Septic Aussie.
Septic Aussie is my man. Like, I want to see who won this one, because that's my guy right there. He is the reason that my stream upgraded.
Yes.
So he's our stream hero. Septic is the man over there in Australia.
Brant, if you want to start announcing, number 4 is there ready for you.
All right. Number 4, K Sizzle. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Somebody say my name?
Number 3
Thank you, sir.
is
Thank you.
Septic Aussie.
With 17.2%.
Yep.
The man.
And then number 2, we have...
Mr. Dart with 29% of the vote. Congratulations,
That leaves only
Mr. Dart.
Uh-oh. Consensus coming.
And there's number 1.
And then, you know, something that will go down in history as the rigged vote of all time, Blaise Xperience with 40% of the vote. Congratulations, Blaise.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think that was the only landslide category.
Yeah,
there,
it was a
wasn't
pretty good landslide. I think even Derek's vote counting for 5 doesn't explain that one.
Blaise,
Well,
as with everybody on this list, but you especially have been an even constant voice in supporting this game and the community as a whole. So thank you very much for your efforts on that.
thank you. I appreciate that. And I really appreciate everyone that
Yes,
voted
man.
for me. You know, I really love this community and I love doing all I can to support it. You know, that's basically why this award show is even happening, because I thought, hey, what would be something really cool to like kind of kick off 2019 for the community. And I thought, okay, why don't we do an award show? You know, people do award shows. Why not? Let's do it. I thought of this idea and I made it happen. So
Yeah.
Hey, and working closely with the community member of the year has been an experience all its own. So I'll put that in.
Yeah,
it's
there
been
too.
a Blaise experience.
Yeah.
It has been a Blaise
Wow.
experience.
The ultimate plug. Awesome.
I didn't even catch that.
That needs to be on a t-shirt.
I think you're right.
But
Yeah, right. It's been a Blaise experience.
with all things considered, Blaise, you really are the community member of 2018. I think you've reached out to me, I think, every time you did the, any of the trials, any of the, Decay Fest, you reached out every single time, and it made me feel like, okay, even though I couldn't make it to the first one, you still reached out each time to see if I could, come in and support and come out. And you are just, I think you are the rock in this community, and putting on this show and putting on the podcast you put on, that is the rock and the staple for fans to always be updated and always have a place they can go to. And so thank you for that, and thank you for having me on, even considering me for the list. And and you are the reason I finally get to talk with the Undead developers I've always wanted to talk with. So thank you, Blaise. You are a gem.
Arky,
Thank you, I
Arky, we
appreciate
could
that.
only dodge you for so long. I mean,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, seriously, a lot of the biggest, most visible parts of what people think of today as the State of Decay community, what the State of Decay community does, are things that were created or supported or otherwise, that kind of owe a lot of their existence to Derek Blaise. So yeah, I think this is well deserved.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I really appreciate all the kind words.
Very well.
It means a lot.
Very well, sir.
And, 2019, don't think we're stopping, because I've always got more ideas coming. So I'm always ready to do more. So
fantastic.
2019 is going to be even bigger. So I can't wait.
And I always got your back.
Appreciate that.
Trying to get you to get some sleep.
Well, who needs sleep, right? I mean, Jeffrey and Brad probably know you don't need sleep, right?
We'll sleep when we're undead.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry, I dozed off there. What was that?
But just so we don't keep Brant and Jeffrey too long, we have one more category here. Best
One
melee
more.
weapon.
Down to
And
our
the
final
reason why I
category.
say this one for last is because we actually had to break a tie live here on the show. There was actually a tie for the win. So real quick, I'll go through the ones that didn't make the tie. And number 3, we had Cleo Longblade at 13.1%. Number 2, we had the weapon that Brant said he helped design, the Bastard of Bella Wood, 16.9%. So that was number 2, Brant.
Nice.
And then our tie was between the Cleo Battle Axe and the RTX Extermination Blade at 24.6%. It was a dead even tie, not even like a dead even vote by vote. So we have to break that tie here live on the air. So basically what we're going to do is we're all going to cast a vote right now. Even if you didn't vote for those originally, you can vote for one of those two, either Cleo Battle Axe or RTX Extermination Blade, and we will decide the winner right here. So I will cast my vote first. I'm going to go with Cleo Battle Axe. So Arky, what do you choose?
See, like you just took my... Alright. I'll have to go with Extermination Blade.
All right.
RTX Extermination. RTX all the way.
Sizzle?
That's going to be the Battle Axe, my only weapon in Daybreak.
All right.
That's all
and
I
how
use.
about you, Brant?
Battle Axe for me.
I think that just renders my vote useless, which is great. I don't have to fall on either one of these sides.
Well, for all intents and purposes, you might as well say your vote.
I probably was going to go Cleo too. I love the style of the Cleo weapons.
Yeah, and I even went against the weapon that I made.
That is true.
I made the RTX blade, but Mark's work on the Cleo weapons was phenomenal.
So thank you, Mark.
That was Mark's doing. Huh?
Cleo Battle Axe is our best melee weapon for 2018. So, congrats to that Battle Axe. Cleo is going to be happy. So you got to make Cleo happy, right? So
the old Battle Axe, isn't that?
We're not going
the
there.
name you call someone. All right.
And
the Battle Axe rounds out our
to speak on the Battle Axe, it did. It was like the first major weapon people were introduced to in Daybreak. So it was that first yes, this new weapon. And so the Battle Axe, I see how it took it. Yeah, I enjoy the Cleo Battle Axe as well, so I'm happy for that to win.
I agree. And, for anyone that voted for RTX Extermination Blade, it's not like it didn't get votes. It literally tied for the win. We had to break it right here on air. So
yeah, that's what I wanted.
It literally tied for the win. So
hey, maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year,
All we have
RTX
to do is make no more
Blade,
weapons and nerf the Battle
It's got to
Axe.
kill some more zombies, yes. Yes, the Battle Axe will come with a negative trait on it, right, Jeffrey?
Yeah, there you go.
You lose 2 food a day every time you swing it. I don't think it'd be that popular.
Yeah, no, we'll add some effects of like butter and frosted flakes popping off it each time you hit.
Yeah,
and hamburgers just coming
off.
out, pizza flying everywhere.
Exactly.
Chicken legs being my favorite.
I'm so looking forward to that now.
If you make that change to it, it loses 2 food a day per swing, and then I don't think it's going to win next year. But I just want to say, thank you to all of you for joining me on this awards show. It was a lot of fun, and it's really cool to go through all 16 of these categories and go through this. So thank you all of you for joining me here today.
Oh yeah, it was fun for us too.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I'd like to finish by from my end by saying we adore our community. We are lucky and blessed to have such an engaged community with people who care about it like you guys. And we owe. I'm like a broken record. We owe so much to the people who cared enough, like yourselves and our original crew, way back in the days before we even had a game running. We had a community up and supporting us, and we wouldn't be here without your continued interest and efforts. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for what you do.
Thank you. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. From the community, we say thank you.
From us, thank you.
I think I speak for all of us in saying, we really appreciate how much work everyone at Undead Labs puts in. So thank you to all of you at Undead Labs for such a great year. And we really look forward to a great 2019 as well. Whatever you guys have cooking there, we're ready for it. We're ready to take it on and try out whatever's coming next. So thank you so much for everything you guys do. All right. So get cooking, and we'll talk to you guys soon. So I'll see you guys on the stream on Tuesday. So
see you.
Right. Thanks for joining us.
See you guys.
Bye. Thank you.
You
Happy
too.
Thursday.
And Arky and Sizzle, if you guys want to shout out how people can find you, if they want to find you. So Sizzle, if you want to go first.
People can find me on any social media platform, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and mainly my Twitch channel, and that's at KSizzle3G, KCIZZLE 3G. That's on Twitch, and the other social media platforms is going to be Coach Keeby, CoachKeeby, on any of the social media platforms.
That's if you want to shout it out real quick, I think you just announced that you might be making a change to your stream. If you want to shout that out, go for it.
Yeah, actually, there's slight changes coming to my stream. I've been since I started streaming 6 months ago, it's been pretty much a gaming stream. I've been streaming gaming. However, I'm going to start doing more podcasts and talk shows, just chatting streams, where we'll be getting into all types of content, religious conversations, not too much political, but gaming and just chatting. So if you guys want to come over and get to know me and chat about some things that not a lot of streamers allow in their streams, that's what I'm pretty much opening the doors to.
Yes, that should be a lot of fun. So everyone, definitely check out his stream. He's a great streamer, and I look forward to seeing what you actually do with that new direction you're taking.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
And Arky, if people want to find your YouTube and everything, how can they get in contact with you?
So basically, I am on Twitter and I am on YouTube. Those are my two platforms I really focus on. All right. Blah, blah. Shut up. Okay, God, I can't stand that guy, that Arky kid, man, telling me who is that guy? Okay, you guys already know where to find me and all that, so we don't need to listen to that. But let me end that podcast for you guys. So that was the Blaise Xperience. Guys, go check that out over on the Blaise Xperience YouTube channel. You guys can also find the podcast and download it to your mobile devices or to your PCs or wherever you download things. You guys can go ahead and download the podcast so you guys can listen to it wherever you want. But if you guys were here throughout this whole podcast, then thank you. And I hope you guys enjoyed that, because that was literally a year and a half in the making on my part, because I had to make the coverage series and I had to do all that to even, be a part of something like that. So this was so much, this meant so much to me. Being nominated was one thing. Okay, I was nominated. Cool. Creator of the Year, I was nominated. That's one thing. But to sit down and talk to the team and meet Blaise and KC, that's a whole nother win on a whole nother level. And moving forward, I'm going to pursue different opportunities to bring State of Decay 2's community to a better level every time we do something big. So I want to reach out as much as I can to the Blaise Xperience and to KC and anyone else out there in the community creating good stuff. Hit me up. If you're creating for the community, hit me up, because we're going to be doing State of Decay 2 stuff in the future for Gamescast, because we're introducing a State of Decay 2 segment in every single Gamescast live in 2019. Now, that's a big statement to make, because say, State of Decay 2 just, vanishes, completely, it just dies somehow. Something happens and it just dies, and no one, cares. No one is a fan, no one cares, no one's in the community. We're still going to be talking about State of Decay 2 just about every episode throughout 2019. And I don't necessarily mean the game itself. I'm talking about facets of the community, cool things people are doing within the community to kind of get recognition. I want to help people out with that. So if you guys are doing anything with the community, please reach out, because I'd love to make you a segment on Gamescast, and you can come and bring whatever you got. And if you have an opinion about the game or anything, it can be anything. Easiest way is go over to our Discord, our Gamescast live Discord, and become a part of our community over there, because basically our channel is going to be community driven. My goal is to create a interactive live experience where you guys are able to give me topics, opinions, whatever, on Discord or on other platforms like Twitter. And basically what that does is it builds every week's show. So it's basically outsourcing our topics to you guys so that we can make the best discussions possible, because I want to make topics you guys are interested in and I'm interested in. So I need to know what you guys are interested in so I can pick and choose what topics I am interested in and want to pursue. So that's why it's this type of show. It's very dynamic. I never really know what I'm doing each week. As you guys saw with earlier this week, we had that car crash video go up. That, you know, was completely day of. I did it. Boom. It's out. It's up. That's pretty much how it rolls here on Gamescast. Is each week I scavenge the internet for different topics, whether it be sensational or funny or a freak out, gaming news, all of that, and we create a show out of it. So I just want to let you guys know that Gamescast moving forward, yes, it's going to be a multi-faceted show. It's going to have multiple angles, and it's, you know, partial. It's a comedy show, really. In some senses, I am a comedian in some cases, so a lot of the things I say, I don't necessarily want people to take home with them at night, but it's supposed to be a fun and entertaining podcast. So I hope you guys are enjoying everything we're doing with the channel this year so far. I've dedicated quite a bit of time, and I really love what I'm doing. And it's easy to look at the numbers, and I'm sure some of you have looked at our numbers and said, wow, you know, you used to, doing State of Decay 2 coverage videos, you were getting 100,000 views. You were getting 50,000 views. Yeah, now we're getting maybe 300 at best, but that is not why we do it. We do this so that we build a community. I just want 100 loyal people. That's all I want. I just want 100 loyal people who's going to come to every show and discuss things with me. And beyond that, I really don't aspire to talk to billions and billions of people. If we have 100 really loyal, awesome community members, that's all I could ever ask for. And so far, we have some of the most loyal community members. And it's great because some of you guys have been here since the very beginning, and I would just like to take some time at the end of this very, very long stream to thank those of you who have supported my individual pursuit to create content and have backed me and have supported me in my individual pursuit to you know, create more than just being human. You know, everybody wakes up when we're human, right? But when I get to do something like this, I get to feel more than human. I get to feel like I am having a relationship with thousands of people at the same time. It's very weird. It's like you're growing as an individual by learning from thousands of other individuals. And that's one thing I loved about the State of Decay 2 coverage series is I got my perspective on the game from you guys, because you guys have persuaded me so much in certain directions in all facets of my life, and also in gaming. I want to give a shout out just particularly to Harrible, because little does Harrible know, but the video that we did earlier this week that was about the incident that happened last year, late last year leading into this year, where a car demolished my job and I basically lost my job and you know, lost my day job, and basically I've been able to put a lot of time into the channel because of that. But you know, it's been a rough go at it, because you know, you lose income, you lose motivation, you fall into a rut, because when you lose your job, it can be, and especially on a short notice, as literally just a car impacts your wall and your job's gone. So the idea behind that video, actually, I was inspired to do that video and kind of share that aspect of what was going on in my life because of how Harrible conducts himself on his channel and how open and how personality driven he is. I wanted to bring that. I wanted to open myself up to you guys a little bit more so you guys can get to know myself and kind of the hardships and struggles I'm going through at a daily level right now. But he was an inspiration for that, and I want you guys to know that, like, all of you guys, the things you say, the content you create, the discussions you create on Twitter, in the Gamescast Discord, in the chat here during this live stream, those chats, those discussions, those motivate me more than anything. Everything you guys do motivates me, and that's why when someone asks, hey, can you leave a like? I don't like to ask people to leave a like too often because I want them to feel obligated, because when someone leaves a like and you didn't ask them to, that means so much. And when you ask them to leave a like, it diminishes that meaning of their like, if that makes sense. So I try not to ask for likes, because when I do get a like, I know I earned it and I didn't beg for it, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I moving forward, we're just going to continue the same pace we've been at, because I think we've been at a pretty good pace. I think we've put out more content just this month of the new year than we've put out, I would say, in like in the last 6 months of 2018. So I think we're doing good. I think content is flowing, and I think I'm having fun, and that at the end of the day, if you watch it, that's awesome. If you love it, that's awesome. But at the end of the day, if I love it, that's all that matters to me, and I'm loving it. So I just want you guys to know that, hey, I'm here for 2019 to make this fucking awesome. So if you guys are here to do the same thing, I shouldn't have swore. I literally should not have swore right there. No. Okay, that was like the first swear of this episode, I think. We went so long. Oh, and that right there will be... I'm not even... Oh, all right, hold on. All right, Harrible says, oh shit, dude, thank you so much. It means more than you know to have support and to be a part of this epic community. Seriously, wouldn't be the same without you. I hope everyone has an awesome day. You too, Harrible. It's probably like, what, like 4 o'clock in UK right now for you? What time is it over there, Harrible? Let us know. It is almost 10 here, and this is actually kind of what I was guessing the stream was going to end, around 10ish, because I started at 6:50, and I was like, okay, so the podcast is like really long, like 2+ hours, and I don't want to interject too much in the podcast because it's going to make it even longer. So I tried to not interject too much, but that's why I'm talking a lot at the end here, just to, kind of talk a little bit during this very long live stream. This was epic, guys. This was really cool. I've never done anything like this where, I'm using another platform to show. I'm using a podcast from another platform, and I'm showcasing it on our platform. I've never done anything like that. This is really cool, and thanks so much to the Blaise Xperience for allowing Arky Gamescast, your boy Arky, to do this. I wouldn't have done this without asking permission, so, and he was so for it. He was so for it, and I cannot thank the Blaise Xperience enough. And I hope you guys liked all the art. Before we go, let's look at this. Let's play this again, because I worked hard on this, and it was pretty interesting to work with, because it was just straight out of passion, and I put it together in like an hour, so it didn't take much time, but it did take a little bit of effort. So let's watch it, and it's pretty cool. It's just the award show intro, but yeah. So let me make sure you guys can hear this. Oh! Yeah! Hype!
Is this where you tell me the real secret is teamwork?
Nope. The real secret? Aim for the head.
Yeah, so this was just really sick to make here. I was able to find K Sizzles. But yeah, this was really, really awesome. Hold on. Yeah, how will you survive? Hell yeah. And I made all that just for that intro today. Isn't that nuts? I put all that together just for the intro of this stream. Guys, I go to the wall. I really do. I don't know why I do it. I don't. But it's fun. It's fun. It's because it's fun. I get more fun doing this than playing games sometimes. I'd rather spend my night doing this than playing a video game. But tonight, in particular, I actually did the stream and played a video game at the same time because I was able to. For the first time on Arky Gamescast, we were able to have a stream where Arky didn't really have to do anything, because all I had to do was sit here and listen to it while it played, and interject here and there, and chat with you guys, obviously, in chat. But yeah, it was quite interesting. But yeah, so we created that intro just for the beginning. So people who click the video, they're gonna be like, "Whoa, this is sick! This is like a real thing. This is like the State of Decay 2 awards." And I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, it was, because your boy Arky has your back." You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So I wanted to make it as best as I possibly could with a very short time frame, because I wanted to get it out like today, because I didn't want to wait any longer, because it would have gone farther and farther away from the date we actually shot the and created the podcast over on the Blaise Xperience. So yeah, so Casey Keeby says, yeah, the right here, yeah, this right here, this was boss. Yeah, everything about doing this particular show is awesome, but God, I couldn't have done any of this without doing the actual main podcast, and that was the Blaise Xperience State of Decay 2 podcast, and that was epic. Yeah, so I can't thank you guys enough. Thank you guys. Sorry, I'm trying to listen to this and talk at the same time. It's very difficult. All right, so thank you guys for showing up and being a part of tonight's stream. Guys, go check out the Blaise Xperience. He's on most all podcast platforms. He's also on YouTube. You can check out the stream from tonight on his channel. So definitely check out all the creators that were on this podcast tonight, and all the people that were nominated, and and some who won those categories. Go check out everything you heard tonight, because the thing is State of Decay 2, yes, it has flaws, and I know it. I know it has flaws. I get it. I heard the blunt of the community rage, because the community rage came to YouTube a lot of the time. A lot of my comment sections were filled with people who I've never heard from before, really not liking what they were experiencing. And the thing is that I could tell them is, well, this game wasn't created for you, but that doesn't make it a bad game. Now, that's, at the end of the day, is the biggest thing for me, is I'm not going to sit here and crap on State of Decay 2. Why would I do that? I like State of Decay. I like State of Decay 2. Does it have flaws? Yes, but what title that we love doesn't have flaws? We're the ones who see the flaws and are the ones who are supposed to accept the flaws, because the flaws are kind of what creates what is good about the game. If everything was perfect, then nothing would be perfect, if that makes sense. If everything was just correct, then okay, then we live in a boring world. So I get that people want me to go hard on State of Decay 2 and talk about all that and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I think this podcast showcased what this community is all about. And it is all about the passion, drive, and enthusiasm for this franchise. And that is what I will continue to do for this franchise, as I am an avid fan and a passionate lover of the community. So for me, talking negatively about the game, there's a place for that, but that place should be embarked upon very slightly and very carefully, because I am a fan of the franchise. So I want what's best for it. So I'm not going to always say nice things about it, and I just want to make that clear. When I say things that might seem negative, that means I want them to change, or a community member reached out to me and asked me, why is this a thing? Can you figure it out? I will make efforts to figure things out in the future. But for the most part, it's about the passion, it's about the enthusiasm. So if you have a question for why something isn't there, or why did they do this, or why did I don't have an answer for you, and I'm not going to seek one. But I will have a discussion for how they can make this thing better, and how they can come around with a hopefully State of Decay 3 in the future. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed everything you saw today. Maybe I'll wrap it up just by naming some names of some awesome community members that deserve shout-outs tonight. So, first off, we have Mon Prince Cyclope, who is also known as the State of Decay Roof Parker, and has been a real constant within the creator community, and is a great person at heart. We have Zombient, who is also a State of Decay 1 and State of Decay 2 streamer, and he created the famous bloater yoga clip, where a bloater basically looked like it was doing yoga, and it was in State of Decay 1. It looked like it was a glitch, but it looked like it was dancing, basically. Next off, we have Harrible, also known as the meme queen of the internet, and Harrible is doing some awesome content. He is personality galore. He is an awesome force within the community because he shows how diverse our community can be, and he is a dear friend of mine, and Harable is definitely someone to look forward to with content in the future, both creatively and just possibly on Gamescast Live in the late future. So, next off we have the lovely Del Z Slayer, and she is basically one of the most passionate and most positive forces within this community. She brings positivity, she brings love, and she brings joy and passion again about State of Decay 2, especially on Twitter. She is doing great stuff all over the internet. Wherever State of Decay 2 is, Slayer is being positive in those forums or in those comment sections or on those threads. You can bet it. Next off, we have the Mad Queen 88, and she is a streamer for State of Decay and State of Decay 2. She also streams The Walking Dead, a Telltale series, and she's certainly a very entertaining streamer, and I think she has a bright future moving forward. So props to the Mad Queen 88, and thank you for being a part of this community. Fabian907 is up next. Fabian907, one of the earliest commenters on the covered series. He reached out to me very early, and I think he was correcting me on something. But out of that correction came a friendship, and Fabian907 became one of the first co-hosts on the coverage series for State of Decay 2. So Fabian907, props to you. Also, Harable was also another co-host. I forgot to mention that. Harable was one of the first co-hosts for Gamescast, and Zombient as well. A lot of these people on this list were co-hosts. Who would have thought? But Fabian907 is awesome. He does a lot of work with creating weapon spread lists and dissecting State of Decay 2 down to its itty-bitty mechanic. So Fabian907, props to you. You are a mainstay within this community, and you are all over the community forums. So thank you again, Fabian, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, so now we have some really, really honorable mentions, because Death Hour, I did not forget about you, buddy. Death Hour, thank you, buddy, for, you made it clear to me that you actually joined the show back during the E3 when we saw that first gameplay trailer, and I remember that so vividly because it was a very sad moment when we learned that it was coming out in 2018. But think about that, guys. That was 2017. Think about that. We were in 2017. That trailer dropped. We all got very upset. I had to quell fear of the game getting delayed even further. And remember, because everybody was like, oh, it's 2018. Oh, it's going to take forever. Look at it now, boys. We're in 2019. What are you talking about? This is going way too quick. So next time you have a game that's coming out in 6 months, don't worry. Just remember, you were waiting for State of Decay 2 for years. And guess what? We're almost a year out from its release. So time flies. So use it wisely. But yeah, Death Hours, thank you. So Death Hour, and we also have Meep Meep, who was also here during this live stream. Meep Meep, thank you so much. You've also been a constant within the chat, and I love to see the guy. I love when you guys become friends as well from talking to each other for so long in the chat. I love that. That's what it's all about, is creating relationships. So I love when you guys do that, and I see that Meep Meep and Kevin McFarlane have became friends. So I want to also give a shout out to Kevin McFarlane, because Kevin McFarlane comes to almost every stream, and he's a great guy. He's given a lot of discussion throughout the year plus of coverage series live streams. He was a participant in so much discussion, and he was just he is one of the most if we could see his chat log, he is such a great community member. So Kevin McFarlane, thank you. I can't wait to see you every single week on Gamescast Live. Thank you, Kevin. And we have Zachary Jimenez, who is known as another name on YouTube, but that is his Twitter, is Zachary Jimenez. Zachary, you've also been a mainstay, so thank you. We have our Discord moderator as well, another mainstay in the community, Artificial Soul, and we have DeBomb12 and Cot Jockey. DeBomb12 is a mainstay as well. I mean, what's hard is I have to tell you all these names are mainstays. So it's hard to say individual things for each one of you, because you all have done stuff. So it's so I could go on forever basically. I mean, I could just go into chat logs and name hundreds of people that are awesome. But I think the list I just said right there is the list that I could come up on the top of my head a couple minutes before the stream started that I wanted to note on the stream, because I want these people to be recognized in the way that they in the way that I can recognize them, and that's here on Gamescast Live. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I guess we'll see you next week. But I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. You know your boy Arky's always here. If you need someone to talk to, I got your back. And with that said, I love you guys. Peace. Oh yeah. You know I'm getting the most out of this video here. You know I'm getting the most out of it.
Is this where you tell me the real secret is teamwork?
Nope. The real secret, aim for the head.
I worked too hard on this video not to play it like 100 more times.